Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Good to see you. Sorry about yesterday. My bad. Sometimes when you're co-parenting, shit comes up, and I had to run kind of about 20 minutes before the show. I had some personal stuff come up, had to run, so I apologize for missing you guys yesterday. Thanks, most of you, for being understanding, and fuck all of you who gave me a hard time about it, but I still love you. But we are back today, and we'll be probably back on Monday. Real quick, just as I'm checking, Katrina, thank you for sending your Antifa dues early today, long before the show started. I appreciate that. And Jen, welcome.
Good morning, Sunshine. So you weren't off playing with your Republican friends or anything?
No, but I got to tell you, so I had to be on a phone call for a while. It was like I was on a phone call for like 2 hours, and I pace when I'm on a phone call. And I'd gone to the gym earlier, and I came back, and so I just went out for a walk, not thinking it would be 2 hours. I have here and here, because I had on like a basketball jersey. My shoulders are absolutely fried, just brutal, because I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's probably getting pretty warm. And you should make sure you have your sunscreen.
Yeah, where were you at
I
today?
pay them on the phone too.
Yeah,
sit still.
yeah, I can't. It's a real problem.
Yeah.
The problem is sometimes it's like a sensitive conversation, and I wind up in a place that I shouldn't have a sensitive conversation. Shit, we're gonna hit 100 today. Goddamn. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That sucks. How was your day? We talked a lot yesterday.
We did. A bunch of times.
Jen was just telling me about like her childhood and like some deep feelings that she had, and some of her goals in life and emotions she's been feeling lately. It was good.
Yeah, rage. The emotion of rage.
Sounds like some of our friends are headed to New York this weekend for the No Kings protest. So I hope if you guys are going out for the No Kings protest that you're safe, but also that you have a good time and you protest like hell. I won't be there. I got dad duty on Saturdays, so I can't go to the No Kings protest. But I am actually watching my daughter's friend as well, so her mom can go to the No Kings protest. So I think that counts, right? If I babysit so somebody else can go, that counts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that counts.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're supporting through another. I don't know. The word's not coming to me. The word's just not coming. In my head, I had this, like,
through other means. Is that what you were trying to say?
Something, but that wasn't the word I was looking for. But your proximity support. I don't know, something like that.
Awesome. Thank you for the support, guys. The whole crew. Thanks, chat, for the support. That means a great deal to me.
Who's supporting you?
Everybody. Who wouldn't support me for being babysitting? I don't know what to do with like a second kid there. She's crazy. And those two kids are together. What's that?
Is it the other kid or yours?
Well, my daughter's not crazy. She's got a lot going on all the time. But when they get together, they just like run outside and scream, and they don't care if anybody's around, and they'll just do weird things. Like they'll just walk up to anybody. Like if I ever go to a store, and they'll just, like, my daughter, yesterday we were at the trampoline park, and she just walked up to this girl who was like doing back handsprings, and she's like, oh, I was like, God. I don't know if people know how to react to that, baby. Like you may get some weird reactions from time to time. She doesn't care. She thinks it's funny. So,
well, I mean, at least they'll have each other. I mean, do they entertain themselves well, or you?
Yeah, but they escalate, right? They just like out weird each other the whole time.
Well, I mean, you gotta. You can't limit. I don't fucking know what I'm saying.
What's going on with you today?
Words are just not working for me at all. They're just not operating.
Are you in love?
Ew. Ew.
I mean, that's not a no. That wasn't. Did you guys notice that? That was not. That was not a no.
Men are yucky.
Men. Yeah.
Anyway,
we are. We're gross. Sorry about that, everybody.
So Sully just sent a Venmo asking, do you need him to rub lotion on you?
It's not a bad idea. I don't have any aloe vera. I need to go get some aloe vera. Is it gonna come? Is it gonna be aloe? Is he gonna rub my shoulders, or is it solely just gonna be weird about it and go straight for my dick? That's the question.
I mean, that's another one of the things that you weird guys do. So who knows?
Can you follow up with him on that? I don't want.
I will ask where he's planning on rubbing. So
Thank you. And from across the pond, Asta Sophia says, Dollar Train Antifa douche, shout out reminder to like the stream, guys. Yeah, thank you. Amy Lynn said, Jen's Twitter pated. Seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we should probably
real quick, one more. Blue Chew says yesterday's cancellation provided by Blue Chew, and just a reminder, I'm tired of you making us look like whiny little bitches. I'm tired of it. I would like if people looked at America and said, hey, these people are skeptical of their government. We try and be like, hey, we're not just lining up to suck the dick. I've been stretching my mouth. I've been preparing for this. Was it Kash Patel? Put it in there. Pete Hegseth? Put it in there. Donald Trump? Put it in there. Blue Chew, give me all the dicks. One of these days, we're gonna get that sponsorship locked down. Ack says, Jen, there's nothing wrong with some guys. Thank you very much. Well, obviously, Ack, because there's someone she's in love with, and
not Ack doing that. It's not all men.
That's right. That's it.
Do better, Ack. Do better.
Did you see? I don't know if Ash is here, but she sent me a screenshot. I know Admir got into some hot shit with them. Yeah. And then he was hosting like a.
Oh, I know.
Jesus Christ, yeah. What is he doing? Did anybody go talk to him? Did anybody say, like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You got admonished by a woman, so now you're holding like women are problematic panels. That was crazy.
He has this bad habit of when he gets backed into a corner, he's like a really hungry chihuahua. He just starts biting people.
He is very hungry all the time, so that makes sense that his personality would be a hungry chihuahua.
Yeah, I mean, he's very much the chihuahua. The little dogs are scarier than big dogs.
Yeah,
100%. I stand on that. But
yeah, I am letting loose today, Siberio. I'm in a good mood. That's what happens.
Well, so we're getting going. It's Friday, the friendliest Friday. So glad everyone's here. So if you're new, you haven't been here before, please hit subscribe wherever you're watching and become a paid member. If you're on YouTube or wherever else. If you're on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub, and Jeff Bezos can pay for your subscription, so you don't have to use yours. And then if you're on TikTok, I think we were supposed to be banned until next week, but it's up and working right now. So we'll see how long that lasts.
When did that get fixed?
I sent it over to C Note and got it moved.
WC Note in the chat there.
C Note is always a W. So.
And if you don't know C Note, you can go follow him on TikTok, where he generally interviews other gay guys in California and talks a lot about dicks. So if that's what you like,
dicks and politics, kind of like
dicks and politics. That's right. Yeah,
you guys have a lot in common. So if you guys disagree with RTP and you would like to come up and talk, you can do that. Just send me a message in Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo, so Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. And I can bring you on. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. And words are just not working for me today. There was something else I was going to say that got me distracted.
You are so in love. This is so crazy. No, I've never seen you this infatuated in my life. This is beautiful, Jen. What a day. What a beautiful day.
The element, I don't know how to say that. How would you pronounce that? LMCT. There's no excuse for Admir's live about women.
Yeah, I didn't. Of course, there's no excuse. But it's Admir. I was just trying to figure out, like, if anybody saw. I only saw the screenshot, so I didn't. It looked like there were about 11 people there, so it didn't look like it was well attended, which is good.
Exactly. So yeah, if we're gonna hit the gift goal soon, that would be great. We with Jay's little parenting
snafu. It's called a snafu. Yeah.
Snafu. We weren't able to be on today, so if you guys want to, do some overtime, some extra credit, we wouldn't complain. So, where do lizards go after their tails fall off?
I don't know.
The retail store.
Stupid. Speaking of lizards, the other night I went down. I was with a friend and we went down. There's like a river not far from here, and it was after dark, and we just sat in a hammock and smoked some of the Lord's medicine. And I realized that living in Phoenix and not being outdoors as much, and then being high, I've become an absolute pussy because a lizard ran by my foot. And I tried to play it cool, but my heart rate must have been like 150. I thought for sure I was going to die. And then every sound from the river, I was convinced was some monster. It was an absolute nightmare. Speaking of lizards, I expected you to say something about Bezos. Good question. Well, let's talk about lizards. CPAC is happening, and I just have some clips from CPAC. If you don't know, that's a conservative political action committee. They host an event every year, and it used to be like kind of a respected thing. Like all the most like prominent Republicans used to show up, and then ever since MAGA came around, it's turned into a who's who of like what the fuck. And we've had some great experiences so far at CPAC, starting with this one where Mike Lindell is screaming as per usual. I don't know why he's yelling all the fucking time. He's on with, I don't know, is that OMG? I don't know who it's OAN over there, but that looks like it says OMG. I don't know. I don't know what this interview is about, but this clip is amazing.
Into our country, most of them break a law within the first 3 months. Most of them, we're on TV here, please. We're on TV, please. We're on TV, please. Okay, we're on TV, please. We're on TV, please.
Your face.
Okay, we're on TV, please.
What are you serving him with?
We're on TV, please. We're on TV,
what are you serving him with?
I'm not accepting.
What are you trying to serve, ma'am?
Poor Mike.
We're on TV, please.
Yeah.
We're on TV, please. Okay. Into our country.
Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter, Mike. Enjoy another lot. This poor guy. He's lost everything just because he's stupid, and Trump hypes him up. Then there was this. Somebody asked if Matt Schlapp was going to get schlappy. We'll see. The man with the most sexual, like he's got more sexual assault claims than Donald Trump against him, including, I think at least one, but I think multiple that he has settled for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. He came out and he was ready to get the crowd hyped. I don't know who all is here behind him, but he said, "Don't worry, guys. I've got this taken care of. I know how to work up a crowd. These are my people." And then he hit him with this.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. That was the wrong answer.
I want to see it again. We'll go back. There's more to this clip.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No.
No.
That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No.
I just didn't do it again.
Can someone bring some coffee out for the CPAC?
I know.
We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that?
Let's
How
play
many?
the second one again.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No.
No.
Can someone?
They were off to a good start there at CPAC. And I think the reason he did that is he perhaps was setting up Todd Blanche, and Todd Blanche now just openly, like, this is a crazy thing to just openly say.
Everybody's afraid that the next administration, if we don't win, we're going to all be investigated and indicted.
Yeah.
Think about that. This is not a third world country. This is America. And the existing...
When did third world countries mean investigating corrupt politicians? Only third world countries investigate corrupt politicians, not us. We're a first world country.
administration is afraid that they're going to get indicted. And why are they afraid?
Because you're criminals.
Because that's exactly what happened during the last administration.
Because they were criminals.
All of President Trump's cabinet, everybody that worked in the White House, his Secret Service detail had to go to the grand jury.
Because they were either criminals or witnesses to criminality. You should be afraid. Everybody working for Trump should be very afraid that they are going to be put in jail after this because they keep committing crimes. And that's why in this country, you're supposed to go to jail when you commit crimes. A lot of people did go to jail, if you remember, from Trump's first administration. A lot of people charged. A lot of people pled guilty. And nothing happened to Trump because everybody takes the fall for Trump. Then it's Todd Blanche. This is why I say like CPAC's not a serious place anymore. They're just openly bragging about fascism now. Here's Todd Blanche just openly saying like, fuck this Constitution. You know that Constitution thing? Fuck that.
And when it comes to the FBI, which takes a lot of criticism, especially because of what happened over the past several years.
Huh? What's the criticism they had over the last couple of years?
Director Patel has cleaned house there too. There isn't a single man or woman with a gun, federal agent, still in that organization that had anything to do with the prosecution of President Trump.
Is that fascism? I just want you guys to know we're so proud that anybody who did their job and investigated the criminal, the 34-time felon Donald Trump, has been removed. Notice that there wasn't even that much applause here either. This is alarming to even the people at CPAC.
That had anything to do with the prosecution of President Trump. And
that's not that many people clapping.
And I want folks to realize what that means. President Trump, for the first time in modern history, has said, I am the president, and if you work in the executive branch, you work for me. And guess what?
What?
We can all read the Constitution.
Correct.
He's right.
Wrong. No. Fucking no. In fact, what he's citing is called unitary executive theory, which is a theory that is separate from the Constitution. I don't see anywhere in the Constitution where it says that if you work in the executive branch, you work just for the president. You all work for us. That is a crazy thing that he just is bragging about here. Hey, guys, we've got a king, and this time we mean it.
And unfortunately, past administrations, Republican included, have just resigned themselves to putting up with partisan actors within the Department of Justice. We do not.
You are replacing people with partisan actors and then saying, we do not put up with partisan actors. The FBI director wrote a fucking children's book, a series of children's books. In fact, let's pull those up. Let's not talk about partisanship. I probably should have had these up and ready to go, but let's look at these books that Kash Patel wrote. It's called the Plot Against the what? The King. The Plot Against the King. That's obviously Donald there. I believe that's maybe Hillary, and here's Kash. I don't know if he's like Jafar. I don't know what that is. He's a wizard of some sort. Remember that? Yeah. Kash wrote and that wasn't the only one. Then you had number 2 here. The Plot Against the King. I swear to God, folks, 2,000 Mules. The debunked documentary from Dinesh D'Souza that he's had to publicly denounce and apologize for. Kash Patel stole that story and wrote a sequel called The Plot Against the King, 2,000 Mules. And yet, Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says,
actually, past administrations, Republican included, have just resigned themselves to putting up with partisan actors within the Department of Justice.
Yeah, totally not Kash, though. He wasn't like a conspiracy theorist, MAGA podcaster. Yeah. That's part of what he used to get his job, for sure. He didn't use his credentials. It is important to remember that none of these people that are running this administration have any real credentials. There's not, is there anybody credential-wise, like not whether you agree with them or not? Marco Rubio, maybe? there anybody else that has credentials? Is MAGA here yet? Who in in this administration has credentials to do the job that they're doing? I think it's basically Rubio. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Maybe Susie Wiles. Can you think of anybody else? It's certainly not Trump. Yeah. I mean, I guess technically he has credentials this time because he's been president before. So if you're going to do credentials, I guess technically you could. Anybody else? Stephen Miller. Yeah, not Stephen Miller. Well, kind of. Stephen Miller is he's just the propagandist. That's kind of what he's done his whole life. If they had credentials, MAGA wouldn't hire them. If they had credentials, they wouldn't be MAGA. They would be able to read, and they'd stop being MAGA. All right. Let's get to some of the attendees at CPAC. They're definitely totally normal and definitely not viewing Trump as Lord and Savior.
He is the president of peace. So this is to bring peace in the area. When this gets taken care of, it's going to be
talking about Iran, of course. Yeah, we're peacefully bombing Iran.
Peace. And it's what I believe. I'm on True Social. That's the only social media I do. And I believe that he's going to have, bring peace, and it's going to be very short. And he's got a plan. He's a genius. And we trust President Trump. All of us trust President Trump.
He's a genius, guys. Do I have this actually? I'm going to skip ahead to number 2 here, but this is a good time for it, and then we'll get back to it. But just a reminder, this is the genius that we're talking about. This is a real thing that happened yesterday in a White House meeting.
I'll say it right now. I say it because no press ever reports it. I'm the only president that ever took a cognitive test. I took it 3 times. It's actually a very hard test for a lot of people. It wasn't hard for me, but it's a cognitive test. It starts off with an easy question, and by the time you get to the middle, it gets tougher. By the time you get to the end, very few people can answer those questions. They get very tough, mathematical equations and things. I took it 3 times. I aced it all 3 times in front of numerous doctors that I have no idea who they are. And I was told when I went in, they said, Doc Ronnie told me this. My current doctors were
Doc Ronnie, by the way, who's been stripped of all their credentials in the military because he ran a pill mill in the first Trump administration, and he lies about his service, and he was overprescribing things or giving people drugs without prescription. That's Trump's doctor.
Fantastic doctors. They said, well, if you take it, it's Walter Reed. It's essentially a public hospital. And if you do badly, it's probably going to get out. But I aced it. I got them all right. And one doctor said, I've never seen anybody get them all right. I've been doing the test for 20 years. I want people, I would love to see anybody that's a president or
if you have to keep saying how smart you are, you might not be.
Vice president or anybody that has any chance of being a president, I would like to see them take a cognitive test.
All right, let's take it, Don. Here you go. It's called the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. This is the test that he takes. You tell me how hard this is. Number 1, executive function. You just got it. There's a pattern here, right? So 1, what's the first letter of the alphabet? A. 2, B, 3, C, 4, D, 5, E. Got it. Draw clock. 5 past 10. You got to draw a clock there with the right time. Name these animals. Horsey, big cat, ducky. Probably. I'm going to try not to ace them. Read the list of words. Subject must repeat them. Do 2 trials, even if first trial is successful. Do a recall after 5 minutes. Leg, cotton, school, tomato, white. Now repeat that. Leg, cotton, school, tomato, white. Good. Good. You big old genius. I skipped the second part of the first question. Oh, I did. I didn't even see that. Copy the bed. Yeah, thank you. I got distracted. Got to draw that bed. Thanks. Read list of digits. Subject has to repeat them in the forward order. 2, 4, 8, 1, 5. Subject has to repeat them in backwards order. Notice this only has 3, 4, 2, 7, 7, 2, 4. I've already failed the cognitive test for ADHD. These would be a nightmare for me. How many points? I only lost. How many points did I lose there? 1 point. Okay, gotcha. Attention. Oh, no, there we go. Read the list of letters. Subject must tap with his hand at each letter. What? Tap with his hand at each letter? So he says point them. F, B, A. That's crazy. Just read the letters? God, what a fucking genius. Subtraction starting at 60. These are the mathematical equations he was talking about. Thank you. Reframing. I did pass the ADHD test. And here's my ADHD right now. When I took that test and I went in and met with the doctor after, she was laughing because they like track your eyes and you have to take the test. And I would just get distracted in the middle of the test and I'd be like, fuck. And it would be like pattern recognition and stuff. She's like, it was as obvious as I've ever seen. All right. Where were we? These are the math equations. 60. So 60, 53, that's 7, right? Minus 7. 60, 46 is minus 14. 60, 39, that's 21. 60, 32, that's 28. 60, 25, that's 35. Ooh, these are complex math equations he's talking about here. Repeat. The child walked his dog in the park after midnight. The artist finished his painting at the right moment for the exhibition. Name the maximum number of words in 1 minute that begin with the letter B. Bitch, bitch ass, bitch assery, bitch ass Trump. And you have to get more than 11 words or you fail. What is the abstraction? What is the similarity? Example, banana and orange is a fruit. Hammer, screwdriver. That's a tool. Matches, lamp. They provide light. Delayed recall. Leg, cotton, school, tomato, white. What is a category Q? I don't know. Maybe you can give cues. That's the test. That's the test. And just a reminder what he said about the test real quick.
I'll say it right now. I say it because no press never reports it.
Yeah. What if it's turned on a computer? He's like, fuck.
I'm the only president that ever took a cognitive test. I took it 3 times. It's actually a very hard test for a lot of people. It wasn't hard for me, but it's a cognitive test. It starts off with an easy question, and by the time you get to the middle, it gets tougher. By the time you get to the end, very few people can answer those questions. They get very tough mathematical equations and things. I took it 3 times. I aced it all 3 times in front of numerous doctors that I have no idea who they are.
I bet it's on the fridge. I bet Melania puts it on the fridge. Anyways, remember, the reason we showed that is
to be very short, and he's got a plan. He's a genius, and we trust President Trump. All of us trust.
Yeah, he's a genius. That's why they trust him. He's a fucking genius. All right, let's get to some of the people that were speaking. First, Benny Johnson, who is such a fucking loser. This is just loser speech. This is like trying to be powerful, trying to get trying to be inspirational. And again, every one of these speakers falls flat. Like nobody gives a fuck at CPAC what any of these people are saying.
I am going to state it clearly and profoundly at this moment.
Okay, this is going to be clear and profound, not just clear.
That we must find the clarity of what and who we are actually fighting. The violent, radical, demonic left is our enemy. I am going to...
Boom. Boom, says the podcaster. Stop talking about fighting people as a podcaster, please. That'd be great. Jen said, will Jay send that Bluetooth audio via Cameo? I have so many like that I want to harass that with. It's in the Discord. If you go into Discord and to the RTP out of context, you can download it right from Discord. That's where I got it. That's how I know that you can do that. Will Hessler said, and he put an enemies list in his other book. Speaking of Cash Patel, correct. But thank God they got rid of partisanship in the FBI. All right, so there's Benny letting everybody know who the enemies are. Resounding words there. Then we have, for some reason, I've seen Beau French before. I didn't know that not only is he not the Texas Railroad Commissioner, he's simply just a candidate. And that's how far we've fallen at CPAC, that they have brought in Beau French, who is a candidate for the Texas Railroad Commission. And of course, he's here to talk about railroads because that's what he's running for. Perhaps transportation. Here you go.
It's not just the Muslims we've allowed, and it's not just illegal immigration. It's not just the Biden 4 years when 20 million people came across our border, mostly here in Texas.
I don't know how all Republicans are still saying 20 million. That is a made up fucking number. The number is closer to like 2 or 3 million. They all just have to lie. I think like since Trump lies, they all just have to lie, or they see it as like opportunistic. They're like, oh, if we're just lying, we can make shit up. There is no credible source that says that we had anywhere close to 20 million people show up in this country during the Biden administration. In fact, at the by the end, I think the number was like 18, 19 million total in this country here that were undocumented total. So that's people from decades. That number is made up.
It is that we have roughly 100 million people in this country who shouldn't be here. They don't share our values.
Okay, so 20 million would be undocumented, but now he said there's 100 million that shouldn't be here. Oh, we're talking about an ethno-state at CPAC. We're doing ethno-state shit. They're not Nazis, guys. They're just saying there's certain groups of people and religions and ethnicities that should not be here because they're not good Christian whites. We're just doing like flat out, unabashed Nazi shit at CPAC.
Values. They don't want to assimilate. And I would argue that this is just one component of it. Now, I think it's probably arguably the most dangerous component. I mean, think about it. The Somalis in Minnesota, they came here illegally. But look at
he said illegally, but he meant legally. Actually, I'm pretty sure because of what he follows this up with.
all the fraud that they've committed. You know, there are plenty of H-1B, fraudulent schemes that we've uncovered here in Texas. So this is a problem.
If you have fraudulent H-1B problems, those would be American citizens, right? Not the people coming here. The fraud would be conducted by the people who apply for those H-1B visas and hire using H-1B visas.
Problem across the nation, and I think we have to have politicians who are willing to say, we are America first, we're going to fight for the things that Americans want, and we're not going to put up with anymore, and we're going to send all these people home. That's the only way we're going to stop the Islamification of Texas and America, not just by banning Sharia law, not just by banning,
Again, Texas Railroad Commissioner is what he's running for. Now he's talking about banning Sharia law and stopping the Islamification of Texas. As Texas Railroad Commissioner, he's got some big ideas.
The call to prayer. No, who wants to hear that? Not just by banning.
It's real, dummies. Guys, Mikey Pissboy wants us to know it's real. Yeah, for sure, dude. It's for sure real. For sure. The Great Replacement Theory, Sharia law, the Islamification of Texas. For sure, that's real, dude. Yeah. There's no evidence for it, and you guys are all just scared little bitches, but for sure it's real. Stop being so goddamn afraid of everything. It's getting embarrassing. Why are you so fucking afraid of everything?
Halal slaughter, which are all things that I've called for, but more importantly, we have to send them all home.
Yeah. That's the biggest applause I heard so far. Send American citizens back to the country where their ancestors came from. Because they don't do good white Christianity. All right. This is now this guy, I don't know who this is, to be honest. He's interviewing Nick Shirley. So, oh wait, that's the wrong one. That's Matt Gaetz. Hold on. Ah, shit. Did I not get it? No. All right. I bet I can find it. Yeah, knew it. Knew I could do it. W me in the chat, thank you. Start that one over. Sometimes, I can't criticize him too much because sometimes things come out of my mouth that are stupid and sound weird too. But CPAC host trying to be cool here with Nick Shirley. I also have never heard Nick Shirley laugh, and this is the first time. As somebody with a weird laugh, I also can't criticize too much, but he does have a weird laugh.
Arrest and deport. Yes. I'm going to make that my tramp stamp. Arrest and deport. Yes. I'm going to make that my tramp stamp.
Yeah, go for it, dude. That's cool, man. I'm not gonna shame you over here. The way he looks too, I love people who fuck up a joke, like they think they landed a joke and get that little smirk. This one, I loved it. He loved it. One person laughed, and it was Nick Shirley, who probably doesn't know what that is. He just heard the name Tramp. All right. Then it wasn't all fun and games though. Here's Matt Gaetz, who again, goddamn, I'm tired of agreeing with people in the Republican Party, but when we show it, I think it's important. Here's what Matt Gaetz had to say about the war in Iran.
Didn't they just pick a gay Ayatollah? Like, I just think that's Asalama fabulous. I think a gay Ayatollah in charge of Iran is definitely mission accomplished. I'm not for Pride Month in June in the United States, but I'm not entirely sure I'm against it in Iran.
Boom. Yeah. He wrote that down. Probably had a speechwriter help him with that joke. These jokes are so good. All right, here's some attendees here that some of the attendees not happy with, oh shit, what did I just do? With especially foreign policy. And I don't have it on the outline today, but Fox News posted yesterday Trump's lowest approval rating so far as president. I think he's down to like 34%. Here's some of the attendees, though, not pleased.
This isn't, what I voted for. What I voted for was domestic policy, change at home, and, realistic foreign policy. So I'm just hoping we can get it all wrapped up soon.
Yeah, so they don't want that war. Then how about this one, who also tells us something that we all knew, is that people who voted for Trump. They didn't know what they were voting for. They just thought it was cool.
I think they would get destroyed in the midterms. I get the vibe. A lot of people I knew who just voted for Trump because they thought it was cool in like high school, or just now just being like, I can't stand the guy. All
right, and here's the actual clip I was looking for of Matt Gaetz that I thought I was playing earlier before he played that joke, which is why I said I agreed with him. I want to clarify. This is the clip I thought I was about to play.
Have every diplomatic tool at his disposal, and I do trust that he knows a great deal more than I do. But a ground invasion of Iran will make our country poorer and less safe. It will mean higher gas prices, higher food prices, and I'm not sure we would end up killing more terrorists than we would create. In Iran...
Yeah, that's because that's what regime change wars do. They generally create more problems than they solve. Tanya said, have a great weekend. Thank you, Tanya. Will said, can someone ask Beau French what he thinks of? And then it's cut off, so Jen's going to get that for me in a second. I'll finish the rest of that comment. Kind of a mess over there at CPAC. Kind of a rudderless ship. They all agree that Donald Trump is king and untouchable, but nobody can figure out what the fuck he's doing, which has got to be a frustrating way to be. Sorry, conservatives. This must be a difficult time for you, where you just literally don't know what's going on. You just have to wake up and be like, Trump good? Trump good. And just when even at CPAC, not everybody's there. Mike Johnson's not there because Mike Johnson is openly filleting Donald Trump down in, I think they're down in Florida. And I'm pretty sure, like, I've tried to check this. I'm fairly certain this is a new video, but Mike Johnson and the Republicans have done this like 10 times now. So I'm 92% sure this one is new.
The president has done so much for the American people, and we want to honor him in some small way, some token of our appreciation for his leadership. And so tonight we have created a new award.
Wow.
We're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to.
You've done this 50 fucking times. You do this every year. You make up an award and you give it to Trump every year. This is like the 85th participation trophy that you cucks have given this dumb motherfucker. I mean, sorry, genius who passed that cognitive exam 3 times. Nobody's ever done that before. You guys give him a participation trophy like every other weekend. Please don't say that you don't do this. The rest of that, Will said, can someone ask Beau French what he thinks of Thomas the Tank Engine? Probably thinks he should be deported, I'm guessing.
Honor him with a new award that we'll present annually from this point forward. But he is the suitable and fitting recipient of the first ever America First Award. We can think of no better title for what that is.
As we're bombing Iran. Just bombing the fuck out of Iran, driving up gas prices, driving up, like we're going to have pass-through inflation from this. Got ICE agents in the airports because we shut down TSA. Fucking America first for sure. Thanks, Don. At CPAC, the voters are like, dude, this isn't America first. This is not what I voted for. And Mike is so disconnected from reality that he's like, what if I gave this award to Donald?
That's this beautiful golden statue here, appropriate for the new golden era in America.
You're a Christian. There's something about golden statues in that book. You probably shouldn't have golden statues of people if you are a Christian. This guy Fox said Trump is just a Make-A-Wish kid at this point, going to Graceland, fake awards and trophies. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that might not be a bad. Yeah, that's a pretty good depiction of what's going on right now. Let's make all of his dreams come true before he's done with this life. That's actually pretty good.
And we want to let you know before we bring the president out. And
all right. Then we had that cabinet meeting, which I showed you, where Trump was bragging about his cognitive abilities, which were just on full display. He's brilliant. J.D. Vance now, these guys have not figured out how to tell us an answer of why we're bombing Iran, why we're in a war with Iran. They've given us like 50 different reasons, and they keep just like trotting out new ones to see if they work. J.D. Vance, it looks like he's been working with some writers, and he came up with a new one.
When I say options, I think it's important the American people know options for what? And it's options to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. You talk about people who walk into a crowded supermarket and have a vest on, and they blow up the vest and a couple of people get killed, and that's a terrible tragedy. What happens when what's on the vest is not something that can kill a couple of people, but can kill many, many tens of thousands of people?
Guys, just so you know, we bombed Iran because of nuclear suicide vests now. It was because they were enriching uranium. Then it was because Donald Trump felt like they were a risk. Then I think it was because of the oil. Now it's because of nuclear suicide vests. So, how's that possible? I don't know. Rachie, I have no idea if that is possible. But I know this is the first time I've heard it. And that was our vice president. And he's going to try and be president next. He's probably going to get the nomination in the GOP. That's your guy. We're bombing Iran because of nuclear suicide vests. For sure that's happening.
That is the most important American national security objective that exists for any administration at any time, is you don't want the worst people in the world to have a nuclear weapon. That's why the president is...
Yeah, but you guys, you have them and Israel has them, and you're not doing anything about that.
Doing this. That's why the president cares so much about this particular issue.
It's weird that he says that's why the president cares so much about this issue. I've never heard the president say that. If I was the president, I'd be like, hey, sir, could you please not make up lies and say this is why I care? Thank you, Bertie Kiki. W in the chat for Kiki for the $50 said, thank you. Thank Jen and all the mods. Fuck MAGA. W comment too. Thank you guys very much. All right. Then I don't know. Just somebody tell me what the fuck this is. I'm not even going to give any context. I'm going to let it play for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And I want you to take notes. And at the end of this, I want you to tell me what the fuck just happened.
For $25 million, and it would be better. It would be better. See this pen right here? This pen is an interesting example. It's the same thing. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. But I can't have the pen the way it was. You know what it is. I don't want to give too much publicity, but they do treat me well. Sharpie. So I came here, and they have $1,000 pens. And you know, you hand pens out, you're signing, and you hand them out, you're handing them to all these people. Sometimes you have 30, 40 people. And they were $1,000 a piece. Beautiful pen, ballpoint. 1,000. It was gold, silver, gorgeous. But I'm handing out to kids that don't even know what the hell. What is this, mommy? It's kids. They're getting a pen for $1,000. They have no idea what it is. And I feel guilty because I'm like, I'm by nature, I don't, it's the government. I love the government like I love myself economically. I want to save money. So I'm saying, this is crazy. And it had another problem. They didn't write well. So I take it out and I sign, and there's no ink. And I got all you people looking, and you're saying there must be something wrong with Trump. And I'm signing, and there's no ink in the pen, and it costs $1,000. This one, I called the guy. I said, I'd like to use your pen, but I can't have a gray thing with a big S on it saying Sharpie. As I'm signing a $1 trillion airplane contract to buy brand new fighter jets, brand new B-2 bombers, of which we just ordered plenty. I can't do that with the press. Use your pen, but I like the pen the best, but I'll sign it. I could do like Biden did, give it to somebody else to sign, or an auto pen, or maybe sign it separately in another room, but I can't use your pen. He said, well, I can make it nicer. I said, what can you do? He said, I'll paint it black. I said, that's nice. And I can even paint the White House on it, sir, if you like, in gold. Almost real gold, not bad. And I can even do your signature, sir. And by the way, this was not staged. I just saw the pen sitting there, and I thought of this as an example of how $25 million spent by me at the Federal Reserve Building would be a better job than $4 billion that they're spending. And one of the things that Kevin Walsh told me, he said they ripped down the nicest building. I don't know what building they're talking about. They ripped down a building, Scott, right? Kevin Walsh said it's the most beautiful building in Washington. He said the most beautiful space. They ripped it down. Why did they do that? I don't know. Do you know what he's talking about? Is it true?
Yes, sir.
They ripped it down. We have a moron at the Fed.
Tell me, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Yeah, but Biden was unwell. What the fuck was that? How did we suddenly get to the Fed building? Get off. Some people see Trump be idiots, and you're like, fight us then. Yeah, just don't be fucking stupid. What the fuck was that? By the way, I looked it up. He's talking about the pens that that they used to give out, and now he gives out Sharpies. They were called Century 2 or Townsend lines pens, and they were expensive. Not quite $1,000. They were between $110 and $200 retail. But then, of course, they're probably not paying retail. They're probably getting half price on that, buying them in bulk. So they weren't quite $1,000. But as per usual, Trump just takes the real number and 10x's or 20x's it just for the hell of it. And I have no fucking clue why we had that story. You're saying 200. I've seen. I looked. There were different retail prices depending on either if it's the Century 2 or the Townsend. And different presidents have used different pens, but anywhere from 110 to 245 is where they've been. So, anyways, that was cool. That was your president. He's doing great. He's very cognitively aware and making a great deal of sense. But it's frustrating. It honestly is so frustrating to have this guy as president. To have J.D. Vance sit there and tell you that we're going to war for, I guess, suicide nuclear suicide vests now. Nobody stopped old shits' pants there while he talked about markers for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And then we still, you leave all that behind and you realize, the red states still exist. MAGA still exists. And this is Sky News. Sky News did a segment visiting red states because for a lot of the world looking at America right now, they can't figure out what the fuck we're doing. They have no clue why we're bombing Iran, and they come here and they're like, "Why are you bombing Iran?" And we're like, "Yeah, we don't really know either." And then the JD Vance like, "I think it was because of nuclear suicide vests," and then they went to red states, and red states they do kind of have an answer.
States waging a holy war in Iran.
This is a battle of...
Oh, sorry. Alfredo said $1 for Iranian hackers hacked Dumb Patel's emails. Did they really? How'd I miss that story? Cash Patel's emails got leaked? I'll have to look into that.
Good versus evil.
God is just exposing everything.
I believe we are living in the end times. Those are the views of some conservative Christians here in Oklahoma, one of America's reddest states. That message is being amplified at the highest level by Donald Trump's defense secretary.
God bless our troops and this mission.
It's causing alarm among those who worry about the growing influence of Christian nationalism on US policy.
I don't think the lines have been blurred. I think they've been stomped on.
People are being told that they need to go risk their lives in order to accelerate Armageddon.
Conservative Christians have access to this White House like never before. A president who regularly hosts evangelical leaders, and a defense secretary who embraces a combative brand of Christianity.
Yeah, I believe Sauron's chasing down the one true ring. Oh, good.
Be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle.
Yeah, alcoholic dude who says kill all Muslims, actively lies and cheats through every aspect of his life. He's out here quoting scripture. Thanks, bud. You can be sure that the biggest pieces of shit that you know, when they are publicly facing, talk about God.
Pete Hegseth is now invoking divine purpose to justify American military might in Iran.
Dear gracious God, I need you.
A conflict which some view as a holy war. It
is crazy to put out a propaganda video of a prayer while men rush with guns to battle for a fight about oil.
Spotlighting increasingly blurred lines between church and state.
Give me wisdom, I pray.
Mark, you can calm down. I am just some douchebag on social media. We're not talking about what Pete Hegseth knows. We're talking about Pete Hegseth saying that this is a holy war. Are you saying that Pete Hegseth would have some sort of intel that would let him know that this is a holy war, that this is bringing in the end of times? Is that what you're saying? That there's secret intel that says this actually is a war and we're fighting a holy war, we're fighting for Jesus? Is that what you're saying, or are you just upset that we're criticizing Pete Hegseth?
Pastor Jackson Lohmeyer!
In Tulsa, Oklahoma, the man who founded the organization Pastors for Trump is announcing his run for public office from the pulpit where he preaches.
That Sharia law never takes root in this nation ever.
Sharia law, there we go. They're just lying to you and keeping you scared so you'll vote for them. Everybody here that is like, this is real, Sharia law is real, this is a holy war, you're fucking dumb. And I mean that respectful, somehow respectful, as respectfully as I can say that. Jesus fucking Christ, you're dumb. It is so easy to dupe you. We just bomb Iran and you're like, huh? And they're like, don't worry, Jesus said so. You're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, actually. If Jesus said so, we might as well bomb them. It's so easy. You guys got to be better. We desperately need you to be slightly better. I'm very tired of people around me and in my life and on this stream avoiding the most obvious fucking bullshit, the most obvious fucking lies, and going, but I want to believe it. I just want to believe this really bad. So I'm going to ignore everything and just believe it. I'm just going to ignore that our government has given us no fucking reason for bombing Iran. I'm just going to push through and be like, yeah, well, nobody can really talk to Jesus, so let's blame Jesus. Are you guys blaming Jesus now for war crimes? Are you casting aside your own complicity in war crimes and putting that on Jesus? Is that what the atonement was for? Is that why Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane to take on the sins, including war crimes? You're like, well, he already, technically, he already paid for this, so we might as well put it on him. Is that what you guys are doing? Doing that Christian thing where like, I could do whatever I want as long as I repent later. War crimes now? Jesus got to be mad, man. Like, I didn't do it for war crimes.
Jackson Lohmeyer supports the war and has spoken about his hope that the gospel will penetrate a free Iran. It's a message which resonates with his congregation.
I do believe it is almost an Armageddon, and that the fact that we do have to stand up for what's right and what we believe in, and they are some awful people over there.
How do you square off the loss of innocent lives?
And unfortunately, it's the sad reality, but
I love just like generic people in Oklahoma being like, the people of Iran are terrible. You shut up. You don't fucking know. You have no idea. Somebody just told you that. You have no idea what the people are like over there. Let's be honest.
did the right thing. They stood up and they fought for their country, and we can honor that. And I know that they're sitting with the good Lord right now and in his great graces.
Oh, good. Yeah, we sacrificed some people, but don't worry, they're with Jesus now. And Jesus is like, thank you. I needed you to die so that we could control the Strait of Hormuz. That was very important to me. I really didn't want the Iranians to have nuclear enrichment, so that's why I, Jesus, who's in control of everything, had you killed. Welcome to heaven.
You should support Israel because God loves Israel.
Is it a religious war?
Natalie said, did you see the Iran propaganda videos? I did, like the Lego ones. I haven't showed them. It feels I don't know why. Gut feeling of me says that years later, I wouldn't think, I wouldn't be proud of playing those videos. So I just haven't, but I don't have like a solid reason for that.
Most definitely. Yes. Most definitely. Yes. God is just like exposing everything. Yeah. Using Trump, using other people in this.
What do you guys feel like God is exposing, MAGA? If you can help here, what is God exposing? That Iran had nuclear suicide vests? What is he exposing?
It's time to expose the evil.
You believe Donald Trump is a conduit for...
Oh, he's exposing me. Oh, her. Gotcha.
God.
100% we do.
First times.
Inbreeding. He is exposing a lot of inbreeding. That's true.
Eric was here at the church. This is me and the president years ago.
In his office, Pastor Lehmeyer displays pictures with various members.
Weird. We just want to take a peek at this wall real quick. Suspiciously absent Jesus.
Pastor Lehmeyer displays pictures with various members of the Trump family who have appeared at the church. You've spoken about the gospel penetrating a free Iran.
What
does that mean?
Well, that's not the job of the United States government. That's the job of pastors and preachers and evangelists when that door opens. And so a free Iran would open the door for ministries and preachers to go in and share the gospel.
Oh, we're going to Christianize them. Did you know that you can be Christian in Iran already? I don't know why Christian. I mean, I was Mormon, so I think like I can speak to this. Like, I don't know why I was so convinced that people really needed my religion, and that the reason people weren't part of my religion is simply because they didn't understand it. So I just needed to get over there and give them the opportunity to hear it. And once they heard it, of course, they were going to join the Mormon church. It didn't happen that often, gotta say. Not a large number of people that I converted to the Mormon church.
At a different church on the other side of Tulsa, an opposing viewpoint.
What was that, Ty? Said, can you play Drewski Erica Kirk video? I think it's I think I'll get copyright stricken for that. I'm not sure. I saw it this morning. Sarah said, stop with Oklahoma, please. I'm embarrassed. My bad. Hey, I got love for my people in Oklahoma. There's a couple people here from Oklahoma. I know. Raise your hand if you're from Oklahoma here. Besides Sarah, Kayla's from Oklahoma. If Kayla's here, there's a couple. There's one other person I know for sure in Oklahoma. Sorry about your state, though. What is the video you're playing? It's Sky News. It's a Sky News segment. And reminder: if you're not in the Discord, we post all these videos. Everything we put on the live, we drop in the Discord in the stories covered on live. So anything we have here, any clip I have, you can go find it.
Come on in.
Reverend Andy Campbell believes the Trump administration is weaponizing Christianity to sell this war to the public.
If I go to war and I claim that God is on my side, if you oppose me, then evidently I must be godless. And I think that's the point of it.
So do you think Pete Hegseth is playing on that then?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He wants to take...
I feel God in this Chili's tonight. Well done, Lisa. And L. Jen, because she's not going to get that joke. Jen, are you here? I love you, but get fucked for that. That's a great joke by Lisa. And you don't get it.
What about?
It's a great joke. I'm not going to tell you.
And I feel God in this Chili's tonight.
Yeah.
Like farting or gas? What?
No, you won't. You wouldn't understand. You don't know.
Okay, you're right.
All right, I love you.
You.
People that he perceives as enemies and make them less than human.
They smoked me all the way.
Defence Secretary Hegseth is provoking controversy with his rhetoric and his tattoos. He has a large Jerusalem cross which dates back to the Christian Crusades and a Deus Vult tattoo.
It has some other associations with it as well. I appreciate Sky News softening that, but it has some other meanings as well.
For God wills it, often used by far-right groups.
One of God's mightiest men, our Secretary of War, the Honorable Pete Hegseth.
Very honorable.
Hegseth has pushed policy changes that reflect his personal views. This is a new Christian worship service for employees at the Pentagon.
You are here, working in this place. These biblical prophecies are being offered up to justify the war. People are being told that they need to go risk their lives in order to accelerate Armageddon and live out these extreme interpretations of Scripture. The Secretary of Defense is making a concerted effort to God-wash this terrible war.
Glad you guys were here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
You all be blessed.
As this pastor begins his campaign for Congress, he insists there is a place for Christianity.
Listen, I don't know anything about this man. 100%, like I can guarantee there will be a scandal involving some sort of sexual misconduct about it. In fact, what did we get his name? I can go back. I'll get his name. If there isn't already, there will be. There's just people. You just know who these people are.
In politics. But some believe the war in Iran is exposing an erosion of the separation between church and state.
All right, what was his name again? It was like Hallmeyer or some shit like that. There it is. Lawmeyer. All right, we're going to look up. Just going to look up Lawmeyer scandal. Let's see. There's a famous one. The Lawmeyer scandal primarily refers to the involvement of German engineering consulting firm Lawmeyer International GIM. This is Oklahoma, right? He has FEC allegations. Southwest Ledger reported that Lawmeyer's campaign failed to respond to the FEC regarding requests for more information about alleged campaign finance violations. He was giving out religious exemptions for COVID-19 mandates to individuals who became online members of his church and made. So if you joined his church online and made donations, you could get a. There was religious like COVID-19 exemptions in Oklahoma. Heavily promoted false claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Ran a far-right campaign against Senator Langford, arguing that Langford did not show enough loyalty to President Trump. All right, yeah, cool. We'll see. We'll see. Those ones aren't as bad as I'd expected. It's going to happen. I just want that on the record. Can somebody clip this? This is for sure going to happen. All right. Moving on here. Just a reminder, we are crowdfunding. I appreciate everybody who's donated so far. Johnny Longtrail says they love talking about Jesus penetrating various people and things. Kimmy said, "Dear Jesus, save us all from your followers." Thank you. Might start praying if we can do that. Isn't he here? What did you say, Kayla? I'll check it. Okay. Oh. He was a beast. She asked me about him. Oh, so you'd asked me about him before. You asked me if I knew when we first spoke. You went to elementary school with him, and he was abusive to his first wife. Shocker. Thank you. So there's somebody here that went to school with him, and he was abusive to his first wife. It's not a scandal in Oklahoma, though. That's just part of it. Just be abusive. All right. Thanks, Kayla. Speaking of abuse, here's Mark Wayne Mullen, our new DHS secretary. And I don't know, like, I guess perhaps our last DHS secretary was just murdering animals that she didn't like for the hell of it. I don't know if this is better or worse, but here's Mark Wayne Mullen being incredibly weird. First, about when he was dating his wife.
I moved back to town but was going to a different school, she would always have these boyfriends and they just weren't good enough for her. But in 8th grade, I actually knew I was going to marry her. She didn't know this. I kept that to myself. And so she would get these boyfriends, and I would refuse to have, I dated, but I wouldn't have a girlfriend because it would distract me from wrestling. So
I never had a girlfriend because I was very focused on getting in skin tight Lycra and dry humping my friends. And so I didn't ever have a girlfriend.
my idea is that as soon as I signed my letter of intent, I'm going to go out with Christy and we're going to be together. But because I achieved what I was going to achieve, right? I got the scholarship. I was very focused. Yeah, I did share this with her. And so she would get a boyfriend and I would go hang out. And she would say, you need to leave. And I was like, no, he can. And then if he wouldn't leave and they would get too serious, I'd tell him to leave. And if he would laugh, I'd say, I'm not kidding. And I got saved when I was 20, so please bear with me. True story.
Yeah, but we've seen you try and fight a bunch of people since then, too. You fucking psycho. That's psycho talk. Yeah, he stalked her and threatened her boyfriends. Yeah, psycho.
I never drink, but I love to fight. And so I would simply tell them if they didn't, I was going to place them in their car themselves. And if they chose to find out, I would place them in their car themselves. And so, yeah, so anyways, when she says I eliminated all the options, I really did.
Hey,
Cool. Yeah, that's abuse. God, it's fucking sad to see. Ugh, like, how does she not recognize that? How do people not recognize this shit? It's crazy. I'm going to turn everybody in your life against you so that you are entirely reliant on me. Cool.
I've been telling.
All right. It didn't get better, by the way. This is a different interview, but it's not better for Mark Wayne Mullen. Here he is talking about his children.
Now,
I just want to say this, and I don't know if this is reaches across the audience to everybody. I don't know where this falls on the political scale. Don't spank your fucking children. Don't hit your children. If you were spanked as a child, that doesn't mean that you get to spank your children. We have mountains of evidence now on the psychological, long-term psychological detriments of spanking your children. Don't spank children. It's not that hard. Change the words. Don't hit fucking kids. Change the fucking words. Don't hit kids. If somebody came up to you and you're like, should you hit kids? You're like, no. But what, you change it to spank and suddenly it's okay? And I don't apologize. Honestly, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Don't hit your fucking kids. That's some real bitch shit you're doing. If you can't control your anger, if you can't get your kids to act how you want them to act without spanking them, deal with it. You can't control people's actions. You don't need to control people's actions. Don't hit kids. Thank you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
now you take Lara, for instance, when she was a girl, trying to spank her Dale was like a 4-minute ordeal because she's like, no, Daddy, no, Daddy, no, Daddy, no. I'm sorry, Daddy, I'm sorry, Daddy. And then she'd get madder and madder, and she just couldn't bring herself to even bend over for me to be able to bust her butt. And I was like, honey, you got like 2 seconds, or you're going to get 2 instead of 1.
How the fuck does a father get to that point? He's talking about his daughter. I will never understand a father laying hands on their child. I only have a daughter, so I don't know what it's like to have a boy. And I think that maybe perhaps if I had a boy, I would parent a little bit differently. But if I make my daughter cry, I fall apart. I've never yelled at my daughter, but I've given a stern voice or a little louder, and I just you watch them melt. It hurts, fucking breaks my heart. I will never understand a father hitting their child, and especially in this world with the dynamics that we have between men and women, just at an early age, teaching your children men can hit you if you get out of line. There is some level of justification for you being hit and you being abused if they get out of line. I don't think anything in my life could piss me off more than a member of the Senate, now in charge of DHS, openly bragging about, like, I used to beat my daughter. I don't, for the life of me, I will never understand that. But if you are on the fence about this, or wherever you are in this, look up, just go research it. Harvard did an incredible study. I think over 30 years, they looked at the long-term effects of children who were spanked. It is overwhelmingly negative. The only positive it is that your kid might stop doing that behavior because they're afraid of you. If you're not around, that behavior might come back. They didn't really learn anything. They just learned that if I do this thing in front of my dad is going to hit me, so I'm not going to do this thing in front of my dad. I was spanked. Never my dad. My dad never spanked me. My mom did. And my mom and I have had this conversation actually now. She regrets it. It's how she was raised. She's looked at the research. She regrets it. She's apologized. And I'm a forgiving person. I think that like forgiveness is a great thing for everybody involved. But all I ever learned is that I wasn't going to do that. So like if I cursed, I would get in trouble. Even if I said something like "shut up," if I didn't eat all my food, I would get in trouble. There were all sorts of things. If I didn't do my chores on time. So I learned, like, at home I was cool, and then I walk out the door. I'm like, fuck these motherfuckers. I just get it out. It didn't change my behavior. It turned my behavior into closeted behavior. And that's where you get the psychological effects. When you're dealing with people who have behavior that they're ashamed of, but that they do in certain instances, that creates like a dichotomy in their life and this separation in their life where they are able to justify the things that they do in certain situations. And then in other situations, they're like publicly facing that they're against that. That fucks you up. Coming as somebody who shelved goddamn everything about me, everything that didn't align with my religion, I just pretended I didn't do. And you shelf that shit, and it eats you the fuck up. And for anybody with children, let me just tell you this from somebody who's deconstructed: it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. I'm 10 years into deconstruction now, and things still come up, and it's hard. It's really, really hard to take like a piece of you, something that you've done your entire life, something that you've like an action that you've done, or like an activity that you've done, or a thought that you've had, and it's part of your life. Sometimes it becomes a coping mechanism, and you realize how damaging that is to you. And like anything, like you get a splinter in your foot, pull it out quickly. What happens if you get a splinter in your foot and you leave it in there? It gets infected. And then the process of taking that out not only becomes painful, but it can become dangerous. And it can have like other effects, lasting effects. That's what happens when you bury this type of shit. And that's what you're putting into your kids. You're burying a thought into your kids early on. It's okay for people to physically abuse me if I do things that they don't like. Specifically, with your daughters and your men, like that carries on their entire life. I bet you would find a correlation between people who are abused by a spouse and being abused by their parents in the same way. The justification of it's okay to like hit. I bet you'd find that correlation. Your approach to parental discipline is the reason we see the total lack of discipline and disrespect for authority today. Yeah, you're a dumb fucking idiot. You're saying that somebody should have to beat you for you to respect them. How about you earn fucking respect? I would dare you to meet my daughter. My daughter doesn't fight me about anything. We communicate. So when my daughter and I have a disagreement, like if I say, like last night, for example, I'm like, hey, brush your teeth. She's like, I don't want to brush my teeth. I'm like, all right, well, remember, like you had a cavity and you remember how bad that sucks? Yeah. If you brush your teeth, you don't have cavities. Then you don't have to go in and get drilled anymore. Plus, I don't like paying for cavities. So could you please brush your teeth real quick? It takes like a minute. Brush your teeth. I know like you're not thinking about it long term. And then she brushes her teeth. And sometimes I tell her to do something and she's like, I don't want to do that. And I explain my reason and she explains her reason. And sometimes her reason's better. So I'm just like, actually, you're right. Go do it. What you're talking about is power structures and power dynamics. You're not talking about respect. You're talking about submission. You, Robin, are a person who can't correctly identify respect. You're talking about submission. This is why we say, fuck the patriarchy. You don't need to have that. Respect is earned. Has nothing to do with authoritarianism. And that's what allows you to be abused. Like, that's what allowed my cult, that's what allows cults to exist. Because there's this one person that's in charge of everything, and you have to be respectful to that person. I was talking the other day just like about parenting and parenting, the difference between, like, you know, my daughter, I'm not Christian. Her mom's not Christian. She went to a Christian preschool. Most of the people around us are Christian. But my daughter, although we've never talked about religion with her, it's not in our home, but we've never talked about it. She went to a Christian school. We didn't talk to her about it. We'd ask her, like, what she learned about. We asked her, she'd tell us about, she learned about Jesus. We're like, cool. She doesn't believe in Jesus. She doesn't think Jesus is real. She doesn't think God is real. And there is like this, there's this tendency from me coming from a religious place to sometimes want to tell my daughter, like, hey, you've got to dim your light a little bit. There's people around you that are Christian, and when you say, I don't think God is real, they're going to be offended. I know that. But, like, that's the type of programming that you have to undo, because is it disrespectful for my daughter to say, I don't believe God is real? Fuck no, it's not. Fuck no, it's not. The Christians who will be offended by that think she's going to burn in hell forever for not believing in it. But we create these dynamics where you're like, oh, you got to respect authority. You got to follow the rules. No. This is submission. And this is what conservatism is. It's all about being submissive and criticizing others who refuse not to be submissive. Think about it top down. Think about your policy, like, think about your beliefs on taxes. What can you not support as a conservative when it comes to taxes? Increasing taxes on the rich. Why? Well, because they earned it. And we wouldn't be here without the rich. So we've got to respect what they've earned so that we can continue to exist. What about the military? What are we doing with Iran right now? Right now, essentially what we're seeing in Iran is, we don't like you. You need to change. And they're like, no. And we're like, fine, we're going to beat you. And then we start beating on them. And us on the progressive left are like, whoa, what the fuck? Why are we beating them just because they won't do what we want? And you guys are like, they better listen or we're going to beat them harder. It's your entire ideology. Your entire ideology is just sheer fucking cuckery. It's all about serving somebody above you. It's all about looking up and being like, oh, I can't change my life very much. I can't change this very much because I have no self-confidence. It's these people, they're doing everything. What about immigration? Well, that's your immigration policy. That's your idea with people that come in. You have to assimilate. You have to believe what we believe. And why do you think that? Why do you think it's important for people to assimilate? Because you're cucky little fucking bitches. That's why. Because you're like, I assimilate. I don't have any thoughts of my own. I follow all the cultural norms of the people that are around me. And if I have to do it, you have to do it. I'm not comfortable with somebody who doesn't assimilate. You cucky little bitches. Wake the fuck up. That's what this is. Like, this is why we say MAGA is a cult. But conservatism operates like a cult. You're so afraid to shake the tree because you're like, oh, we got to be respectful. That's why we're always like, you used to talk about the Constitution. Now you don't care about the Constitution anymore because that's been replaced by Donald Trump. But that's why none of you can disrespect Donald Trump. That's why none of you can criticize Donald Trump. You say it's respect, but I've all seen you talk about Joe Biden. I've seen you all talk about Barack Obama. I see every time I bring up Elizabeth Warren. In fact, I'm saying it now. Watch this. Elizabeth Warren. Somebody's going to say Pocahontas. And even hearing me say Elizabeth Warren, and they're going to say Pocahontas, they're still going to say it. This is what you do. You're the most predictable species on earth. And that is great for people who want to accumulate power. And that's great for people who want to control you because you have been conditioned and bred to follow orders. That's why it doesn't bother you. That's why when you watch this, again, let's change the language a little bit. Should you hit your kids? No. Should you spank your kids? Oh, okay, now it's different. Now it's a different thing. Now it's about respect. That's why kids these days don't have any respect. Let me tell you another thing. If you have to hit a kid to get respect, you're dog shit. You are a dog shit fucking adult. If you have to physically force somebody to respect you, perhaps you don't deserve any respect. Again, it's just like, I'm older, I deserve respect. No, earn it. Earn it. You don't get to just fucking hit your kids so that they'll respect you, because they don't respect you. They'll just listen to you. You're like, oh, my kids respect me. No, they don't. Nobody respects the parent that hits them. They fear that parent. And they might confuse that for respect, but that's not what respect is. All right, moving on. That was a rant. Thanks for whoever that was. We should hit our kids more. All right. This was Sheldon Whitehouse. I actually usually hate these videos. I think they're cringy, but we finally got Kash Patel's grand jury testimony released. And Kash Patel has had grand jury testimony multiple times, but this one specifically in the Trump documents case. And Sheldon Whitehouse is going to go over it with us. Let me read some comments, actually. My Lady Hernandez, thank you for the super chat. Alfredo said, conservatives' answer to everything is violence. Yeah, the authority. It's about authority, and you can't have authority without violence. Renee said, why isn't there a pregnant Barbie doll? Ken came in another box. And Ryan also said, for the RTP toll, I'm so glad Trump is putting his signature on the dollar so we know who to blame as to why the dollar is shit, who gave the rich a big tax break, started an unnecessary war, and put us all in more debt while the normal citizens can't afford shit. Thank you, Ryan. All right, here's Sheldon Whitehouse to go over this grand jury testimony.
Check it out. Kash Patel's grand jury transcript. This is going to be interesting. Let's have a look at what it says. Here we are. Testimony of Kashyap Patel, taken in the presence of a full quorum of the grand jury. Thursday, October 13th, 2022. Good, we're good to go. Oh man, there were exhibits. And all the exhibits have been redacted. Not much there. No info there. Everything redacted. Everything redacted. Redacted? Redacted, 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 redacted. Redacted, 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 until the court reporter says, okay, we're off the record. Except for one thing. This one line shows Kash Patel saying, so, upon the advice of counsel, I'll be invoking my Fifth Amendment privilege. So this is when he asserted his privilege, not when he testified. So the search must go on.
Yeah. Somebody said it already, most transparent administration in history. We have less, but probably less than half of the Epstein files. Why do you let them lie to you like this? Why do you let them do that? Drives me fucking nuts. For you. Why am I more upset about it than you? Stop letting them lie to you. OCD Tileworks said, thank you for the $50 donation there. Said, Trump is a prolapsed anus after a non-consensual prostate exam behind a liquor store on 35th and Indian School. Shout out. If you're in Phoenix, you know where that is. Thank you, Asa Sophia. Big W there in the chat for Asa Sophia. You're always so generous. Said a little extra. Thank you. That was very nice of you. Will said, is this an unboxing video of transcripts? Yeah, we're doing unbox. Might as well, if you're a Democrat in Congress, you might as well do unboxing videos. It's not like you can get anything done anyways. Might as well, but that's pretty cool. I mean, we showed the video of Trump rambling incoherently earlier about Sharpies and pens. We saw him bragging about the easiest cognitive test on earth and how he's the only one who can pass it. And now this, like, if we were serious, if MAGA had any sort of spine or ability to look at reality, we would have invoked the 25th already. But whatever. What the fuck is this?
Seen anything like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran?
Sorry, it's quiet.
And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid.
Now, Iran says they're not negotiating. Trump keeps saying that Iran's calling and begging, and Iran's like, no, we're not.
To say it, because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us. There's never been a head of a country that wanted that job less than being the head of Iran. I don't want it. We listen to some of the things they say. We hear them very clearly. They say, I don't want it. We'd like to make you the next supreme leader. No, thank you. I don't want it. But I want to express my gratitude to the tremendous, never seen anything like.
For sure. Iran proposed making him the supreme leader. This guy's insane. He's lying. He's losing this war. And he's lying to you guys every day. This is an unwin. I don't know. Maybe losing's the wrong word. He's not winning the war. Nothing's happening. We're just wasting bombs and bombs and bombs and bombs and bombs. This is just like Vietnam. It's unwinnable. There's no way to win. We're just spending billions of dollars, and Iran is calling his bluff. And because they're calling his bluff, and he's such a fucking sociopath, he's just like, actually, they're telling you that they're not calling me begging for a deal, but they really are. Sure they are. I bet. And so if they're calling and begging for a deal, why are you not giving them a deal? Why don't we have it? Why are we still doing this then? If they're begging for a deal, why aren't you guys negotiating? Johnny Longtrail said, Pocahontas is a victim of child human trafficking. Also, you missed my first Venmo today. I sent 3 total. You did? Oh, I did miss that. Thank you, Johnny. What the actual fudge, the evangelical shit is absolute nonsense. My bad, Johnny. It's crazy, man. I don't know how it's always you. I love you to death, and I fuck this up every time. At this point, it's just like, it's a part of who I am, and I'm sorry. Well, Steve, what facts are we ignorant to? Let's talk to MAGA in the chat today. You tell me what facts I'm ignorant to when I say that we're winning this war. You tell me what facts I'm ignorant to when I say that Iran is claiming that they didn't call and negotiate. You're not talking about facts. You're talking about you believing Donald Trump. You're like, I believe him. You're ignorant to that. I'm not ignorant to those facts. I'm simply saying he says they're negotiating a deal, or they're begging for a deal. Iran says we're not. If they were, wouldn't we be negotiating a deal? And why the fuck would Iran call him and try and negotiate and then publicly say that they weren't negotiating? I like that. Thanks, Patty. Patty, I'm not negative. Your president's a dumb motherfucker. And you're taking criticism as negativity, and you're like, if you were more positive, I'd listen. Yeah, no shit. That's why you're a Trump supporter. That's why you're MAGA. Because all you want to hear is that you're great, and America's great, and Trump is great, and we're the greatest in the world, and nothing bad ever happens, and America first, because you're a fucking dipshit. That's like, that is MAGA. I don't want to hear any negativity at all. I don't want to face reality. I'm not for you, Patty. Don't be here. Go watch somebody jerk off Trump. You can go watch Michael Knowles. You can go watch Benny Johnson. You can go watch Tim Pool. There's a million channels who openly deep throat this guy. I shouldn't say deep throat. I apologize. Patty, I'm sorry. That's inappropriate. We all know Trump's not hitting the back of anybody's throat. If you want to watch people fillet Donald Trump, go somewhere else. If you would like a place where we're going to criticize our government, welcome to the fucking show. And if you want me to criticize Democrats, then you better hope they win the fucking midterms so that I can criticize them, but they don't have any power right now. So toughen the fuck up, Patty. That's not what we're doing over here. This is reality. All right, keep going. All right. I don't know this guy's name. I know he's hosting the Charlie Kirk show. It's also weird that they still call it the Charlie Kirk show with no Charlie Kirk.
Maybe.
But now, again, like, MAGA legitimately has no facts for anything. And there's a part of me that feels a little bit bad for MAGA content creators. Not that much, but a little bit, because it would suck a bag of dicks to have all of your money and your income tied up in keeping your folks happy. And what makes them happy is saying Donald Trump is winning. We're all winning. We are all Donald Trump. Donald Trump is God, and he's the greatest God that ever existed. And that's how you keep them donating. But you're in a situation now where we're in a war with Iran, and you can't explain it. And so you just start lying. And we're at that stage now on the Charlie Kirk show where they're just making shit up. And they'll tell you flat out, we're making shit up. We have no proof of this, but we believe it. Here's what they're saying now about the Iran war. Or no, excuse me, sorry, about the Save America Act.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's interesting. You brought up Elon, and, maybe people would find this interesting. But, I've heard stories of Elon being presented some of this data behind the scenes. And, Elon's a guy that's used to looking at software. He's used to looking at data. He's used to look.
I mean, you said I'm great at parties. I am great at parties. I was great at your dad's key party last night. Dropped loads in your dad and all of his friends. Made $350, and the beer sucked, by the way. I'm appreciate something better than Natty Light next time.
Looking at physical hardware as well, and he's assessed it, and there's a reason why a guy like Elon Musk knows that this is existential to the future of the republic. I don't have any more details to share than that.
Guys, Elon Musk is really smart, and Elon Musk says the SAVE Act is important, and I don't have any more details than that, but I'm sure of it.
Other than when a guy like Elon looks at the data and the information and the evidence set and says this is existential, you should probably take his word for that. And so, yeah, we got to get this done. One other question on this, because I want to pivot to...
It's an old one, but yeah, that's from an old tweet from Charlie Kirk. Yeah, guys, just listen to Elon Musk, okay? He's not giving you any data. I don't have any data. We don't have any evidence for the SAVE Act being able to fix anything. But if Elon Musk says it, he's very rich. Believe him. And they're all, no, we believe Elon Musk. If you say to believe Elon Musk, we will believe Elon Musk. It's a goddamn cult. Amy said if Trump wasn't the one begging, why is he ramping up more troops, needing 200 million, building mass casualty hospitals for our soldiers, and he's putting our 15-point peace plan? Yeah, why are we staging special forces? Why are we doing that? If it's true that Iran is asking for a peace deal and Trump is saying no and is just going to send our troops into harm's way, I don't know how that's not worse for you guys. That doesn't make any sense to me. Will Cain, who is... One thing I do like about Will Cain is that I don't think Will Cain is an actor. I think Will Cain is legitimately MAGA, and he's angry MAGA. And he brought on Jason Crow, Democrat, Republican Representative Jason Crow. And they're talking about the DHS shutdown. And this is an easy one. Like, again, unless you're MAGA and you just believe obvious lies, this is an easy one. I think 10 times now, maybe 11 times now, Democrats have put forward a proposal to fund everything except for ICE. And Republicans say no. Even though Republicans have a path forward, they can fund everything but ICE, and then they can go through reconciliation, and they can fund ICE without 60 votes. So even though there's a path forward for Republicans, they refuse to push through these funding bills. Why? Because Trump wants to be able to go out there and say, TSA, like these delays that you have at the airport, that's because of Democrats. And unfortunately, it's not working anymore because it's impossible to defend. Democrats, for the first time in a long time, have a strategy that makes sense, and they're able to articulate it. A rare W for Democrats, communicating something and doing the right thing. I do think we should gentle parent them and say, like, just give them a little attaboy. Hey, good job. You did the bare minimum one time. Great fucking job. But that's the problem, is that they have tried to fund TSA. They've tried to fund everything but ICE. And their explanation for not funding ICE is they kill American citizens. They trample on the rights of American citizens. And that's a legitimate reason not to fund somebody. And you'll see here with Will Cain and Republicans in general, it's really hard to combat that argument. So they wind up just getting angry.
We'll fund Coast Guard, we'll fund TSA, we'll do it all. In fact, we'll do what you want, Democrats. Here's your yes. And Democrats walked away because now you want reforms to ICE as part of this. You keep moving the goalposts.
No, that's not at all. What I was talking about on Sunday was a discharge petition led by House Democrats that would fund everything except for ICE. So the easiest way to end this today, and we literally could end this today and take everything off the table. Nobody's held hostage, no long lines, everyone except for ICE is getting paid, as we fund every element of DHS except for ICE. We have a bill to do that. And by the way, in the last couple of weeks, there have been 12 opportunities for Senate Republicans
that's exactly
to do that.
what Republicans are saying yes to. But you guys have changed your demand. I know you're saying that to me here today. But last night, Republicans said they would do that. And you guys changed it and said, no, we want other reforms to ICE.
Will, that's not what their proposal does. That is not what their proposal does. Their carve-outs actually keep in place funding mechanisms that would allow ICE to continue to deport people, to conduct abuses without civil liberties being protected.
Deporting illegal. Now who's moving the goalposts? Remember Will Kane just 1 second ago saying you're moving the goalposts. This discussion is whether or not Democrats have tried to fund these other programs. He's saying that they're not. In fact, he's saying Republicans agreed to this. You're lying. Republicans said they would do this. Jason Crow says, actually, that's not true. Republicans are creating carve-outs that would still fund ICE. So that's why we voted against it. So Will Kane's wrong here, right? Will Kane, and instead of being like, oh, I see what you're saying and moving on, now who moves the goalpost?
In place funding mechanisms that would allow ICE to continue to deport people, to conduct abuses without civil liberties being protected.
Yeah, that's its job. Okay, cool. So you concede. Right.
Deporting illegal immigrants is the job of ICE.
American
and
citizens,
that's lost in this entire thing. You're doing this.
Uh-oh. Now that he's lost the argument, I think we need to talk about the nuances and the discussion that's not being had now. What's lost in all of this? Oh, just concede. Just my bad. I was wrong.
To keep illegal immigrants in America.
If you would let me explain, but if you'd let me explain, I'll explain to you, right? Our problem is they're deporting American citizens. They're grabbing people off the streets without hearings. They're murdering Americans in the streets. You saw the video too. They're running around with masks. That needs to stop. American civil liberties need to be protected. They need to start acting like any other legitimate law enforcement organization. That needs to happen. In the meantime, let's have a vote on everything else.
I don't want to end on a sour note, Congressman, but the thing is, you keep painting this dystopic picture of America that isn't the lives of most Americans. And I'm not here to say that everything ICE has ever done is perfect. There have been bad mistakes that have been made. But this is also the week where we saw an American college student gunned down in Chicago by an illegal immigrant who had already been convicted of other crimes, who already committed other crimes. And he's just one of dozens of these stories that we do.
Yeah, they do this. This is called moving the goalposts. Ignore everything that he just said and then say, oh, well, there was a crime committed by somebody who was here that was undocumented. Yeah, nobody's for that. But then you've got to explain why ICE spends 87% of their time going after non-criminal undocumented immigrants. It sounds like ICE isn't doing their job. Sounds like ICE isn't finding the dangerous criminals. This sounds like it's somebody with a criminal record. Why didn't ICE track them down? If you know they have a criminal record, ICE knew they had a criminal record. So how does this change anything? It doesn't. It's just their way of saying ICE should be able to do what they want because there's crimes committed by undocumented immigrants. Great. We all want those crimes to stop. So could you focus on those, please?
And here you are keeping ICE from gathering that man up. And by the way, also not putting TSA to ensure that ICE doesn't grab that man up.
Actually, the opposite, Will. What Americans expect and deserve is an ICE that will focus on violent criminals. Last year, less than 15% of people arrested and deported had a violent criminal history. They're focusing on everything but. What we need to do is make sure they're focused on violent criminals. And
I love that. Nicholas, good guess. They weren't being stopped, though, hence the reason why he was free to kill somebody. You don't know this person in Chicago, but he's been here for like 12 years. So, no, that's not what happened. And by the way, the border was never open. And this is why they lie to you, and this is why you guys are easy to dupe. There was never an open border under Joe Biden. The 2-ish million people that came into the United States during the Biden administration were almost exclusively legal immigrants using a legal process. Also, the overwhelming majority of them will not get residency or legal status here. But when they claim asylum, that's a legal process and they get to be here. And they waited in line. You could see. Do you not remember Eagle Pass, Texas? Do you not remember Nogales? Do you not remember Tijuana? Do you not remember seeing these ports of entries with lines of people on Fox News every fucking day? Like, look at all of these people sneaking in. It's like, looks like they're waiting in line to me. We knew who they were. They were seeking asylum. Now, if you can say I don't think we should have let them in. That's fine. We need to change the asylum laws. I would probably agree with you that the fact that like 2 to 3 million people can come here and seek asylum, knowing that like 90% of those people are then going to have to be returned at some point because they don't qualify for asylum, that's a bad system. That doesn't work very well. That's not an efficient system. We could agree on that. But instead of Republicans telling you that so that we could actually fix a fucking problem ever, they trot out there and they're like, oh, our voters are too fucking stupid to understand that. So instead of telling them what actually happened and fixing the problem, we're going to say dumb shit like, Joe Biden opened the borders and let in 20 million undocumented immigrants. And then we spend all of our time trying to explain to you, one, that the border wasn't open, and two, that there wasn't 20 million. And we never get to the actual root problem, which is our asylum system it wasn't ready for something like that. We didn't plan ahead in a way that if we had that many people flooding our border seeking asylum due to, one, COVID-19, also due to Donald Trump fucking around with Venezuela. And by the way, if you think for 1 second that Donald Trump isn't responsible for the Venezuelans who came from Venezuela and to America seeking asylum, hundreds of thousands, maybe over 1 million of them, go read his executive order 3 days before he left office, where he admits that he did that and he gave them status in America. And he told, through executive order, the United States government, do not remove these Venezuelans. And yet, 4 years later, he's campaigning on, how the fuck did these Venezuelans get in here? I don't know, dude. Looks like you gave him legal protection. And then Biden upheld that legal protection. And you're like, look at Joe Biden. And that's how easy it is to lie to you. But that's why everything's fucked in this country, is because we don't ever get to the real discussion. The real discussion in this country when it comes to immigration is two things. One, what do we do with the amount of undocumented immigrants that are here who have never committed a crime outside of being undocumented? What's the most effective thing we could do to not harm them and our country and do it in the most cost-effective way? The easy answer to that is fucking amnesty. And the only opposition to amnesty is, oh, well, they should have done it the right way. Okay, so you want to spend billions of dollars to try and find all these people that are undocumented, remove them, put them to the back of the line so that they can come back? Or would you rather just give them amnesty so they can pay taxes? And then the conversation that we're having about, like, do we fund illegal immigration is done. Even then, that's a lie. Even then, people who are here and undocumented contribute way more than they take out. That's another lie. But every conversation with a conservative is like, you got to sift through 10 hours of fucking bullshit before we can get to the real issue. Because conservatives, like Republicans, don't ever want you to know what the real issue is. They just want you confused so that they can give their rich buddies tax cuts, and they'll keep you focused on immigrants are ruining the country, trans people are a problem, and you're like, yeah, that's true. Let's get mad about that. And then you don't notice that the corporations literally own our country now, that they're like running this administration. That like a handful of billionaires are sucking up all the power. And that same handful of billionaires is on the record saying, we would like to end democracy. And in order for us to end democracy, we need to take positions of power within an administration, but nobody will ever give us those positions of power. And then Trump came along, and now they have those positions of power. So they're actually in the process right now of trying to undo democracy and create an oligarchy that removes your representation from government and instead makes you a serf to these oligarchs. And you are so caught up in bullshit that doesn't even exist. We go to like Sharia law taking over, right? Like eating pets, transing your kids. They just keep you distracted while they hand over the country to their rich friends and they get their pockets lined. You got to wake the fuck up at some point. I'm getting really tired of having to like just do fact check after fact check after fact check. I dare one of you to just fact check all of your beliefs this weekend. Go through a conversation with yourself in your own head, have a debate with yourself about immigration, and see how much of what you say you can back up. So when you say 20 million immigrants are here or came here during the Biden administration, then I dare you to look up that number. And then when you say Biden had open borders, I want you to Google, did Biden have open borders? And I dare you to keep track of how many of your claims you could back up with facts. And I have this sneaking suspicion that what you would be left with is a bunch of fucking excuses. Google is woke. The Biden administration lied about the numbers. I don't trust the mainstream media. Of course they're lying. It would just be a list of like excuses as to why you can't find a single solid argument driven by data to back up anything that you're saying. That's a challenge for every Republican. Come back on Monday. I'll give you the floor. You can come up here. You can tell me about all these facts that you got. I'll give you plenty of time. And all you got to do is just fact check what you think. And then you can come up here and you can correct me.
Keeping our community
At a
safe.
minimum.
That's what we want.
To be
That's
honest,
what
Congressman, you're
Americans
barking up the
deserve.
wrong tree there, because that's a minimum for me. How about deport all illegal immigrants? How about also looking at the legal immigrants who came in under fraud?
That's such a stupid take. It is the dumbest fucking take. It's a lazy take. Deport all illegal immigrants. You can't. You can't. You don't have the resources. You don't have you don't have the manpower. You don't have the ability to track all these people down. You cannot do that. Make the air clean. Okay. Cool. Make all food taste great. All right. Make everybody a millionaire. Cool. You can't do that. It's just a brain dead like talking point, and Republicans hang on that. And that way they never have to learn anything and they never have to have any nuance. If they draw their line at deport everybody, then all they can just support any time we're deporting people, and any opposition to that, any clarity that we try and bring to that, like this is costing way too much money and it's hurting our economy. I don't care. I want all of them gone. Yeah, it's just lazy. And that's where Will Cain winds up at the end of this. After he moves the goalpost 50 times, he's like, I changed my mind. I don't want to talk about funding anymore. I just want to deport all undocumented immigrants. Cool. This actually happened. Actually, let me check comments real quick. Keep forgetting. Amy Lynn said, Trump canceled legal statuses in seconds with a pen, too, making those doing so the legal way. Canceled citizenship ceremonies after they spent money and years legally going through the process. It's a good reminder. My Lady Hernandez, thank you very much as well. Listen here. I think we're good. All right. We're gonna watch a lot of stuff from Congress. I don't know if we'll even get to Iran today. I feel like I have this Iran segment that's been on the outline every day this week, and we've never gotten to it. But I feel like there's plenty of people covering Iran. So this is Delia Ramirez, and another like overlooked aspect of being an online content creator that's seen or viewed as on the left is that during the lead up to the presidential election of 2024, we kept talking about Project 2025. And I can tell you from experience, despite anybody here lying about it, that every one of you said Project 2025 was bullshit. It wasn't real. You wouldn't read it. You just said that it was fake. And you said it was fake because everybody told you to say it was fake. It's not fake. It's legitimately the outline. It's legitimately the plan they're following. And Delia Ramirez here brings this up when we're talking about TSA specifically. Now, the Trump administration would have you believe that they care so much about these TSA agents. Obviously, they don't, because they could be paying them right now and they could be negotiating on ICE. But they're using ICE as leverage to not paying these TSA agents. Secondarily, this administration attacks government employees. They've been firing government employees forever. There is no scenario where the Trump administration gives a goddamn about government employees, specifically not TSA. But Delia Ramirez reminds her friends in Congress that this, of course, was all in Project 2025.
I want you to look at this board here. It says the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, be privatized. Right there, Project 20.
Tango Rich, you said you've been here for 2 minutes and you've rattled on countless things Republicans never say, make everyone rich. You didn't understand what I was saying. I was giving hypotheticals of things that could not happen in the same way that Republicans talk about rounding up immigrants. You just misunderstood what I was saying. So when he said, let's get rid of all undocumented immigrants, I said that was impossible. And then I listed a bunch of other things that you could say that would be equally impossible. I wasn't saying that Republicans say, make everybody a millionaire. You just misunderstood. But thanks for being here and welcome.
25. Until it is privatized, TSA should be treated as a national security provider and its workforce should be deunionized immediately.
It's Project 2025. What does it mean to be deunionized for the worker? Takes away collective bargaining, right? It's telling the worker, and it goes back to every Republican ideology, be submissive, be a cuck. Do what the government says. Do what private industry says. Do not give workers rights. Do not give workers the ability to negotiate contracts for themselves. Put them under the boot. So strip away these unions, which strips away your ability to collectively bargain. Now, Republicans always say, oh, it's because unions are corrupt. No, it's not. That's not why they say that. They say that because it allows people more power than singular individuals, or in this case, it denies people the power to negotiate with their own government on the amount of money they should be paid. How democratic is that? Telling government employees to shut the fuck up and take the money that we give you and not collectively bargain? Very democratic.
This is the recommendation of the Heritage Foundation in Chapter 5, page 134 of their Mandate for Leadership, better known as Project 2025. Mr. Chair, I know some of my colleagues would like to say that there's no correlation between the administration and the Heritage Foundation's plan, but Acting Administrator McNeil, didn't DHS announce on March 7, 2025 that DHS was ending collective bargaining for TSA officers? Yes or no?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so they're not doing Project 2025. They're just doing Project 2025 by what do you call parallel thinking? Is that what this is? I know there was a plan that said to do this, and we denied that plan existed, and we're just following that plan to a T, but that's just parallel thinking. It's just... and by the way, the people that wrote the chapters in Project 2025 about the Office of Management and Budget and the Department of Transportation, the Department of Energy, like those people that all wrote those chapters just also so happen to be the secretaries of those departments. But again, Project 2025 was totally fake, and this is all just a coincidence that the people who wrote it all work in the government now and are following it to a T.
Thank you. That's right. So when you're acting here like you give a darn about our TSA officers, stop with the hypocrisy. Mr. Chairman, I want to make sure that I ask unanimous consent to include into the record a press release by DHS entitled, DHS Ends Collective Bargaining for TSA's Transportation Security Officers.
Without objection.
All right. Now I want to show you this. This is John Kennedy, and somebody's got to check on John Kennedy, by the way. He's losing it. This... I'm shocked a person with the intelligence of John Kennedy, at least historically. As I said, I think he's losing it. He's been an intelligent guy. I was shocked by this line of questioning. This is Clarence Burkhead, and he is Durham County, North Carolina sheriff. And I want to show you this is the disconnect that we have. And I would challenge my friends here on the right to think about what's being said here. And think about, after Kennedy asks a question and he gets an answer, is his conclusion right? Because this is remarkable. It's a kind of a long video. It's 6 minutes. It is remarkable how many times Kennedy asks a question, a very leading question, doesn't get the answer he's looking for, and then pretends that he did.
That vetting people at the border is racist. Do you believe that vetting people at the border is racist? Do you not?
No, I've never said that. I believe that having secure borders is important, and we have processes that allow individuals to come into the country the right way. Absolutely.
You believe
So no, right? He clearly said no. It's not racist to stop people at the border.
Believe that people should be able to violate federal immigration laws without consequences, don't you?
No, sir, I do not. I believe that anyone who violates federal or state law needs to be held accountable, and there need to be consequences.
You don't believe in cooperating with ICE, do you?
I believe in cooperating with federal authorities, as I do. A number of federal agencies I cooperate with, and I certainly would cooperate with ICE if they would cooperate with me.
You were elected.
All right, so now he's going to get to the proof, right? So he asked those questions. Those are his attempted gotcha questions. He wants them on the record, and now he's going to prove that all of those answers were lies.
In 2018, Sheriff, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. On April 18, 2018, you gave an interview with a media organization called Indie Week. Do you remember that?
I'm familiar with the paper, yes.
Okay. Here's what you said. I'm quoting you, your words, not mine. I disagree with the incumbent sheriffs. That's the guy you beat. With the incumbent sheriff's cooperation with ICE. I will make a clear and uncompromising commitment to not cooperate with
Hey, Jen, can you do me a favor? Rusty needs some attention. Take care of that.
ICE. As sheriff, I will not honor ICE detainers, and we will not participate in ICE roundups, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
That's the right fucking answer. How do you guys not get this? The right answer for a sheriff to give is, I will not participate in ICE roundups. I don't think I can turn up the volume. I think that's as high as it goes. Sorry, it's a little quiet. That's the right answer. And why is that the right answer? Because that is a federal enforcement or law enforcement agency, and they are federally funded. And as a sheriff, you are funded locally to do local police work. So you should not divert your local resources to the federal government to do their job. That is what separation of state is, right? Like there's state powers, there's federal powers. That's the correct answer constitutionally. And what Republicans now have like divulged into is they're like, well, really, you're not patriotic if you don't do what ICE says. No, there's a separation for a reason. If ICE can't do their job, hire more people. But you don't get to co-opt the sheriff's department. They are funded to keep the laws that they are statutorily allowed to enforce. They don't have any statutory ability to enforce federal immigration laws. It's the correct answer. And now Republicans have resorted to like, well, fuck the Constitution. What about just doing it, though? You should just do it.
Yes, sir.
Good point. Once again, submit to authority. Do what daddy government tells you, says the Republicans.
in April.
Not city and state, Brian. Federal and state. Federal and state. ICE is federal. In this case, sheriffs would be on a county level. But the county should not be doing federal law enforcement.
Of last year, you spoke to a group of ICE employees. Do you remember that?
Notice how he just abandoned that one.
Not particularly, no.
Okay, well, there was an article in a media organization.
Where is that in the Constitution? Brian, anything not in the Constitution is granted to the states. So if you make a federal law enforcement agency that is federal, the states can create their own law enforcement agencies, and they are funded by the state. They are state law enforcement agencies. They are not funded for the federal government. It's alarming, and I guess it's fair that you're asking the question, but it's alarming that you're asking that question. That you think you would take local funds that are, like if you know anything about appropriation or a budget, what they're budgeting is for law enforcement to enforce the laws, in this case, on a county level that are on the books. There is no funding for enforcing federal law because those are paid for with your federal taxes. So through appropriations and through a budget reconciliation and budget debates, you're saying our sheriff's department needs this amount of money to do the things that they are statutorily obligated to do according to our state constitution and our local laws. You cannot fund them to do a job that they don't do. So if ICE comes in and asks the sheriff department to use their resources to help them, then those resources are not being used for what the money was appropriated for. Now, some places help ICE, some don't. But the right answer, and the reason that sanctuary cities are demonized incorrectly by Republicans, is that they are actually doing what they're supposed to do. They are saying, we're not doing the federal government's job. We're going to do our job. And when the federal government comes in and says, do our job for us, they say, no, that's not what we do. We do our job, you do your job. But again, submission, cuckery, that's what being a conservative is. And then acting tough about being that way. Like, all of your arguments legitimately are, hey, look, sometimes you just got to do the right thing. And sometimes the right thing to do is let Tony fuck your wife. And you sit there in the corner and you watch. Okay? That's what being patriotic is. I served in the military. I'll do anything for this country. Tony can fuck my wife because I love America and I will watch. I won't even blink. I might cheer for Tony when he's done too. I'll thank Tony. I'll look him dead in the fucking eye and say, thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. And thanks for allowing me to be a patriotic American and wearing out my wife for me.
A media entity called the Assembly. Are you familiar with them? Do you remember?
I've heard of the Assembly, yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you remember giving them an interview?
I give several interviews.
Sure. Yeah.
I actually don't remember that particular one, but I'm...
Okay. Well, here's what you said in the interview, apparently on the record. These ICE employees that you spoke to, you were referencing them, and you said, quote.
Oh, I'm not talking about adultery. It's the dude. I'm not comparing adultery to working with local and federal governments for a common cause. Let me explain this to you. I'm explaining you. In this case, this is a consensual act where you are saying, go ahead, Tony, fuck my wife, and I will watch. Because usually, like, you have these rules inside your marriage, right? Like, you wouldn't just let Tony normally fuck your wife, but Tony needs to fuck your wife for America, for patriotism. And so in this analogy, I'm comparing your cuckery in the bedroom to Tony fucking your wife to your cuckery to Donald Trump, the federal government, and the Republicans in how you consume and participate in American politics, which is to say, I'm not going to learn anything at all. I'm just going to follow orders and celebrate them. So when the government, metaphorically, starts fucking your wife, as a good patriot, as a good MAGA conservative, you need to celebrate that. You need to cheerlead that. Tell the government, good job. You're doing it better than I ever could. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm sorry that you missed the purpose of my analogy there, but my analogy was just simply to call you cucks and using another form of cuckery to show how blatantly cuckeristic all of you are.
They, these ICE officials, asked me, so Sheriff, if someone is about to be released from your jail and the detainer is about to expire, you will call us and let us know? What was my answer, you said? No, because that's not what the law says. No, I will not call ICE. End quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. For those of you who are confused, he's explaining it here right now. You don't need to keep asking me. He's explaining here now these scenarios. You can keep laying out these hypotheticals. I saw the one that's like, if somebody murders in Utah and then they're picked up in Colorado, are you saying they can't do that? No, I'm absolutely not saying that. I'm talking about law enforcement action. So when ICE comes in and says, hey, we need more bodies to go do this action. We need to take your sheriff's deputies and come do this action. And again, the sheriff can oblige, but they are not required to. And I don't think that they should. I think that you need to budget correctly. And if the federal government is underfunded to do what they're doing, then we need to fund them. But we shouldn't be relying on local taxpayer dollars to fund the federal government because the federal government can't budget, which we know they can't. You know how I know they can't? Because we're like $38 trillion in debt right now. That's how I know. So that's all we're saying here. And he's going to explain why. We'll go back to this explanation, but he's going to explain why, and you can just listen.
No, I will not call ICE. End quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
And, sir, Senator, that was before the new law, which is now House Bill 318, which requires me to make that second phone call.
Okay, so it's like, under the old law, I didn't need to do that, so I didn't do that because that was the law. You guys put in a new law, and now I do have to do that. Now I do have to make that phone call, so I do. So he's just simply telling Kennedy, I was following the law before, and I'm following the law now. And you are quoting me from when I was following the old law and doing the right thing, and you want me to apply the new law, which didn't exist at the time, and you're trying to smear me for that. So again, he's just saying, I'm simply following the law.
Yeah. Prior to that, it was not state law, which I follow and all my deputies follow.
Sure.
And so now we do make that second phone call. But ICE agents are notified whenever someone is entered processed into my jail.
Do you need some water? Because I think your pants are on fire.
I will send $50 to any Republican who can back up Kennedy there. What did he just lie about? Kennedy just claimed he lied. Somebody tell me what he just lied about. I dare you. We'll give you a couple minutes here in the chat. $50 if you can point out the lie that Kennedy just accused him of. Now, all of you will say that he did lie, because fuckery. I dare you to tell me what he lied about. Let's look there. This video is just, I think it was yesterday or the day before. If it's not state law, but it was common sense. No, there's no such thing as common. It's not common sense. He's a sheriff. It's not common. He was following the law. It's true that there's no law that he couldn't make the phone call, but he didn't have to. He's following what the law tells him to do. Anybody? Yeah, KDK, I asked you a specific question. I know that you fucked this up. So sorry. The question again was, what was the lie? And you responded, you are an absolute joke. If you can't help get criminals out of this country, screw you and your entire party. At no point were you even fucking close to an answer there, KDK. You're just being emotional for no reason. I asked a very specific question. Why don't you calm down for a second? Anybody else? Bro really just said liar, liar, pants on fire, like a third grader. Yeah. The sheriff lied. Okay, Wickerhome. What did he lie about? Let's keep looking here. Anybody got the lie there? You just showed it. You said there's no such thing as come and see it. I didn't say that. Anybody else? He released the wrong person? What? What are you talking about? See what happens when you ask Republicans questions? They just fall apart. I proved your point. Guys, Katie proved my point. I asked her a question. She insulted me. I said she wasn't close to an answer, and she proved my point. W. Katie in the chat. Everybody, Katie got me today. She got me today. I asked a question. She insulted me. I pointed that out. You got me, Katie. Well done. Fucking brilliant. You didn't lie. Nobody? Caught lying. You should be fined. What's the lie? Anybody else? He released someone. Lynn, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Lynn, what was the lie that he told? What are you talking about? Do you need the question again? Did he say he didn't release somebody? This is sad, guys. What is my question? Why am I not answering? I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you what lie. Kennedy just said that he lied.
To my jail.
Do you need some water? Because I think your pants are on fire.
What's the lie there? Anybody? Okay. Good try, though.
Okay.
Do you remember a gentleman by the name of Carlos Heriberto Mendoza Martinez?
Not right off, sir. No.
Okay. Sheriff, you should. He was in our country illegally from Mexico. He was in a street gang.
A street gang?
Back in Mexico, he was convicted of manslaughter.
All right.
And he was in your jail.
Oh, he didn't say he was lying. He said he was hot. That could be it, too. Maybe he just said he was calling him a hot pants. Maybe that's what it was.
And because in 2021 and 2024, Mr. Martinez was arrested for assaulting a woman and domestic violence.
Just to be clear, so was Pete Hegseth, and he's the Secretary of Defense. It's really our own fault thinking MAGA would care about Project 2025. We all know they can't read. Thank you, Rihanna.
And ICE placed a detainer on this guy. because he was in our country legally.
If you don't know what a detainer is, basically when somebody is brought into custody who's here illegally, ICE can put out a detainer that basically says for 48, you need to hold this person for 48 hours before you release them. You got to give ICE a notification. I think it's 48 hours, if I remember correctly. I know that it's changed from time to time. I think it's currently 48 hours.
And he was a criminal, and he was in your jail.
Yeah, that's usually why people are in your jail, because they're criminals.
And you wouldn't honor that detainer, would you?
I can't say that I did not honor the detainer.
I can.
I can say what I did honor was the conditions of the release that were issued by a judge. And so therefore, and once again, ICE was notified that they could come pick up.
Do you really believe in public?
Okay, so now what Kennedy's going to do? The judge, if a judge gives conditions of release, it's when they can be released. And I think, like I said, with ICE, I think it's 48 hours and it's changed. It's been 24 hours. There's been times when there weren't conditions. I believe it's 48 hours now. This is from 2021, so I don't know exactly what it was in 2021. But a judge writes the conditions of release. And the sheriff is obligated to follow the judge's orders because we have a fucking constitution. And nowhere in the Constitution would it say, ignore the judge's orders and defer to ICE. There is no scenario where that would be the correct legal process, to ignore a judge and defer to ICE. And this is what Kennedy's saying right now is, fuck you, dude. Be like a Republican. Just ignore the judge. Just call them a radical leftist judge and ignore their court order.
Public safety?
Yes, sir, I do.
You would allow someone in our country illegally convicted of manslaughter, convicted of domestic violence in your jail.
To be clear, just if we can go back through Schoolhouse Rock, what is the role of the sheriff versus what is the role of the judge? The role of the sheriff is to enforce the laws, right? Perform the arrest. The sheriff's department, the Department of Corrections, they operate the day-to-day operations at these prisons. But who determines how long a person stays in jail? Is that the sheriff? Is that the guards? Is that ICE? Is that Senator Kennedy? Or is it the fucking judge? It's the fucking judge. And what is the role of the sheriff when it comes to determining when that person can be released? Following judicial orders. So a member of the Senate, one of 100 members of the Senate in this country, doesn't seem to know how our laws work, doesn't seem to know about the separation of the three branches of government, doesn't seem to understand the roles of the three branches of government here. He's getting upset at a sheriff for doing what he was supposed to do because somebody was bad. He doesn't get to make that decision. You guys think sheriffs now, like, imagine you commit a crime and you're supposed to be released. And then you go to get released and the sheriff's like, you know what? I'm going to hold you another 7 days. Would you be cool with that? Hell no, you wouldn't be cool. You'd sue the fuck out of the sheriff's department. And if the sheriff held this person past their time, they could then sue them. Senator Kennedy here is just like, don't follow the Constitution. And Republican cucks are like, yeah, dude, it's common sense. The Constitution's more of a suggestion type thing. You really should just go with your gut.
ICE says, please hold him.
You're comparing citizens' rights to non-citizens' rights. Guess what, bud? Non-citizens have due process. And I'm gonna explain something else to you again. It's the dude. I don't know if you've heard of the Supreme Court. They call it the Supreme Court because it's the most supreme, highest court in the land. And they are the ones that interpret the laws. And what they do is they take laws or rulings and they compare it to the Constitution. And in this case, the Supreme Court has affirmed multiple times, meaning multiple times they have ruled the exact same thing, meaning there's now precedent. They have confirmed that the way that the Constitution was written doesn't say that you have to be a citizen to get due process, that if you are here in this country, you get due process. And there are very few exceptions of times that you don't get due process. And when it comes to immigration, the only time that you don't really get due process, and you still get due process, you get a different, there's a different process that you are due. If you are caught as somebody who's here and you are undocumented and you are within 100 miles of the border, you can be deported more quickly without a trial. And that is a law that Congress passed. And because Congress can pass the law, that is the law. We're talking about, I don't know if you know about miles and shit, but we're talking about North Carolina. There's not a single point in North Carolina that's within anywhere near 100 miles of the southern or northern border. So obviously that doesn't apply in North Carolina. And the Supreme Court has affirmed over and over again that if you are arrested, or if you have any sort of law enforcement action taken against you in this country and you are outside of that 100 miles of the border, you have the exact same due process rights as a citizen. And you're doing that thing again that you guys all keep doing. And you got a Republican politician here saying, hey, let's just say that non-citizens don't get due process. Let's just say it. Let's just start enforcing the law. Trump's own DHS has had to bring back, they've literally had to like take people out of detention. They've literally had to take people that they deported and bring them back because they were not given due process. And the courts ruled. Remember Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Remember how adamant that you guys were on that argument? Remember how adamant the DHS was and Donald Trump was and J.D. Vance was and Stephen Miller was and Kash Patel was? And all you dumb motherfuckers were so insistent that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not here legally. We deported him. We threw him into a prison in CPAC in El Salvador. And because he's not a citizen, he doesn't have rights. Well, the courts disagreed. And where's Kilmar Abrego Garcia today? Is he in CPAC right now in El Salvador? Oh, he's not? Where is he? He's here. And what did Pam Bondi say? And Christy Dome, they're like, well, once he gets back here, we're just going to arrest him and deport him to a different country anyways because he's here illegally. Whoops. Where is he? He's here. Will he eventually be deported? Probably. But why is he still here? Because he has due process. He has the same rights that you and I do. And just think about this for one fucking second. How stupid your goddamn argument is. If you are telling somebody that if they are not a citizen, they don't get due process, then any of us can be deported. Because the process that we are due is our ability to prove that we are a citizen. So if I get stopped walking down the street without identification and I get deported without due process, how the fuck was I supposed to prove I was a citizen? What you're advocating for is that federal law enforcement gets to just decide who gets deported and who doesn't. And that would mean they would get to deport citizens because there would be no process due. It is the government's responsibility, innocent until proven guilty, to show that you committed a crime. And there's no way with citizenship, there's no way for the government to prove that you are not a citizen without giving you the opportunity to prove that you are a citizen. That's the entire makeup of our justice system. So everybody here is innocent until proven guilty because that's how our justice system is set up. We don't have a separate justice system where you're guilty until proven innocent. So if you're advocating that people who are here who are undocumented do not get due process, then how do you square that? How do you make sure that people who aren't undocumented don't get deported? Because if the government could just say, you don't get due process, you're gone, what would stop them from deporting citizens? What are you going to do? Just think about it. It's you. They pick you up. What was Katie? Is Katie still here? Katie, they pick you up. You're not a citizen. Yeah, I am. Look at me. I'm white. Nah, you're not a citizen. You're like, yeah, I am. I'm a citizen. Where's your ID? I don't have any ID. Okay, sorry. Fuck you. And then they deport you. Now take somebody who's here and they're undocumented. Are you a citizen? Yeah, I'm a citizen. Where's your ID? I don't have ID. Okay, we're deporting you. And if that person was brown, you'd be like, good. But there's no way for them to tell. They don't know that. That's why we have courts. So please stop making the dumb argument that people who are here who are undocumented don't get due process. That would undermine our entire legal process. That would be crazy. Then you would just have like police getting to pick and choose when the legal process plays out. And by the way, ICE agents who have 43 days of training, that's good enough. We'll give you 43 days of training, and then you can just bypass judges. That's what you guys want?
When his time is up, we want to get this criminal out of our country. And you said no.
Correct.
ICE was notified.
He notified ICE, and ICE didn't. Oh, sorry, let's go. I'll let him answer.
Said no.
ICE was notified that they could come pick up the individual, and for some reason they did not. And the judge issued the conditions of release. I am a custodian. I do not determine who is released or held. I follow the court's order.
Sheriff, I don't mean any disrespect, but you ought to be ashamed of that.
You ought to be ashamed, Senator Kennedy says after he says, my job is to follow the judge's orders. ICE didn't show up. ICE was notified. They didn't do their job. I'm obligated to follow the judge's orders to keep my job. And Senator Kennedy says to him, you should be ashamed.
How can you possibly be for public safety if you hate our immigration laws so much?
If you hate our immigration laws so much that you won't violate the Constitution to hold somebody in prison.
That you would let a convicted murderer back on the street. Do you really hate immigration laws?
You don't understand the Constitution. The sheriff has no fucking say in when somebody goes back on the streets. They don't just get to open the doors and be like, you can go. You can go. If the court tells you to release them, you have to release them. That's your job. That's literally law and order. You follow the law, and there is order to the law. Otherwise, the law doesn't mean a goddamn thing. So now we're ashamed of people if they are doing law and order.
Much.
Senator, it's not a matter of that I hate immigration law.
You could have fooled me, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service.
It's time for Kennedy to go. I will say, I think he used to be like an intelligent guy. I hate his politics. He used to not be so fucking weird. All right. We talked on Wednesday. Well, let me check comments real quick, actually. I haven't done that. Brian said, had to tap out. Great show as usual. The YouTube MAGA literally are the stupidest people on the planet. They're splitting Trump's IQ between them. He's a fucking idiot. Amy said, Katie can't pass the cognitive test. Jamar said, her name is Christineth. Now get back in here and fuck my wife. William said, your honest opinion about implementing a federal law to minimum voting thresholds, say 70% to officialize elections, i.e. cannot certify elections with less than threshold. Are you saying like for voter turnout, William? Like if less than 70% turns out, it can't be certified? I don't know. I've never thought about that. I don't know. We'd probably have to hash that out. I've never thought about that in my life. My initial reaction is I don't like it, but there's probably some argument that I'm missing there. So sorry, I don't have a better answer for you. The Anachronist said, thank you for the gifted subs. I appreciate that. Pink, thank you. Lee said, have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Amy Lynn said, we have that issue here in Seattle. Seattle notifies ICE and they do not come get them, so they have to release them. Yeah, it's already a law to notify ICE. So if you have a problem with sheriffs not holding people and longer than it takes for ICE to get there, either change the law or make sure that you get ICE there on time. How many of the 5.5 million Obama deported had hearings first, RTP? Wickerholm, this is great. This is a good question, Wickerholm. Most of the people, and I don't remember what percentage, we could get a percentage, but the overwhelming majority of people deported in this country, and especially under the Obama administration, were the people that were in that 100-mile radius. So they didn't get hearings. But I don't know of a single example. You could bring one up to me. I don't know of a single example of somebody who was not given a hearing that was outside of that 100-mile radius. That's what Trump did. That's what Biden did. That's how I know this stuff. Not true. Yeah, just give me an example then, Wickerholm. Give me a name. I'll look it up. I'm sure it might have happened. By the way, I didn't vote for Obama. I worked for Mitt Romney at the time. I was a Republican I was in Iowa campaigning against Obama, and I have no problem criticizing Obama. But I'll look it up. What percentage? I don't know if anybody's even pulled this number. Let's see. Okay, so during the Obama administration, a significant majority of deportations did not have a hearing before an immigration judge, which estimates indicating that 75 to 83% of individuals removed did not have their day in court. Analysis of Department of Homeland Security data from the Obama era found that roughly 74 to 83% of removals were conducted through summary removals. These removals typically used expedited processes such as expedited removal or reinstatement of removal, where immigration officers rather than judges order the deportation. In 2013, 438,000 people were deported. Approximately 83% did not have a hearing before an immigration judge. The Obama administration oversaw a shift towards non-judicial removals, moving away from the formal court hearings where individuals could challenge their expulsion. Between fiscal years 2009 and 2016, more than 3 million individuals were formally removed from the system. That's from the ACLU, which you would not accept as a source any other time. I don't believe. No, it's not coastline. It's from. Let me double check that. I don't think coastline qualifies as a border. Let me double check though. I'm like 90% there. Okay, so expedited removal, which we just talked about, which was about 80%. Expedited removal allows DHS to swiftly deport non-citizens without an immigration court hearing. It applies to individuals encountered at ports of entry or under expanded policies anywhere in the U.S. who cannot prove at least 2 years of continuous physical presence, have no valid documents, or committed fraud or misrepresentation. Undocumented individuals, including those who entered without inspection, some of those paroled who cannot prove continuous presence in the U.S. for 2 years. The location of this is nationwide, expanded from the 100-mile border zone. Yeah, it's 100 miles from the border. There you go. See how easy that would have been for you guys to fact check that on your own instead of just telling me I was wrong? You could just do that, but I'm glad we got there. All right, moving on from deportations. I want to talk about this. If you remember, New Mexico set an incredible precedent, and they sued Meta for not protecting children. And it was kind of a sick day here in this chat because we had a bunch of Republicans who just want to argue with me that were like defending Meta for not protecting children. And they're like, it's the parents' fault that the children weren't protected. Part of the reason that lawsuit's gone forward, and now we're going to have more lawsuits going forward, is because of whistleblowers. And this is, should I forget to write down his name? It'll show his name. I might have forgotten to write down his name. This man used to be I don't remember exact. I should have written it down, but he used to be in charge of like protecting children at Meta, and then he had a daughter who joined Instagram, and he saw how quickly she was inundated with like sexual advances and became a whistleblower, and has been key to some of these prosecutions from Meta. But I wanted to play this just to show like especially if you guys have kids. We got to do something about these social media platforms, and every other country does it too. And unfortunately for where we're at in this country right now, like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, they've all shifted hard right. And now they're saying that if you do anything to stop them or you censor them, that it's an attack on free speech. And that's including the unwanted sexual advances and criminal sexual advances and exploitation of children. And the reason I don't know, like, I don't want to say that they're doing it because they don't, they want children to be harmed. But they don't want this liability because they don't want to be liable for it. They don't want to be able to be sued for that. And so the attack, like on Section 230, which ironically Trump ran on eliminating, now these same people donating to Trump are like, we need those 230 protections. And Trump is just staying quiet about it. But here's the whistleblower.
Obviously, a hugely significant day. 2 different states and 2 very significant verdicts. You testified in both the trials, and both of them found your former employer liable. How significant are these rulings today?
I think these are going to be the verdicts that are heard across the world. It's amazing to be here in the U.S. where It's a one level playing field where these companies with trillions of dollars of budgets and PR and all these things stand in front of 12 people who care, who presented with the facts, found them to be addicting children and putting them in harm's way. And so I hope that empowers and energizes any other person in the world who's working to make this better. And there's a lot of them.
So I mentioned that this was personal for you. You warned top Meta executives, and that included Mark Zuckerberg, about the experiences when you were working there. I mean, this was personal, right? You had a 14-year-old daughter and what she was subject to on Instagram. So you approached them, you shared this with them, you warned them, and those warnings you said were ignored. You know, tell me about that. I mean, what put your daughter in danger, and what was their response when you told them and it was about their product?
Yeah, when my daughter was 14, she asked if she could go on. I did it very thoughtfully. We spoke about it regularly. And soon she started.
Sorry, someone asked if I could turn on captions. It's not giving me a closed caption option, but you can turn it on while you're streaming, I think, on your end.
To get unwanted sexual advances from strangers, deep, horrible misogyny because she cares about cars and people attacking her and her body. And for me, the most important thing was because I used to be the person responsible for safety.
By the way, Fuzzgasm said ProPublica found 170 U.S. citizens were deported by October 2025. Took me all of 5 seconds to Google that. Yeah, for anybody who said nobody was deported.
And security, I knew that if my daughter was experiencing, millions of kids were experiencing it as well. And that was the research I did at Instagram that found that 1 in 8 kids get unwanted sexual advances, 1 in 5 feel worse about themselves. All the harms that we know as parents and we see are happening at staggering rates. So I took to Mark Zuckerberg these numbers saying 13 to 15-year-olds, 1 in 5, 1 in 3, all experiencing these awful issues that you can prevent. I know how you can prevent this. And he didn't even reply to the message.
Wow. All right. Well, we reached out to Meta.
Yeah, these billionaire tech dudes, they're all psychopaths. Can you imagine a scenario where you get an email about the company that you run putting children in danger, and you're just like, just gonna ignore that. It's not even like a somebody you don't know. This guy was whatever his role was, like he was chief whatever for protecting children at his company. Like he was hired to do that job. Can't get an email.
And asked for a comment, you know, on the verdict, and they said, "We respectfully disagree with the verdict and will appeal. Teen mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app. We will continue to defend ourselves."
It can't be linked to a single app, but you guys play a role in that, and you have to pay when you don't protect teens.
Vigorously, as every case is different, and we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online. That last line obviously being very crucial. What do you say to that?
I think what we have is a record of putting teens in harm's way and ignoring or dismissing the parents who have lost children on these products, the parents that know that their kids are experiencing this harm, every kid that is experiencing harm. You will notice that the response to that is always, oh, that's not an issue, it's not real, it doesn't happen to most kids. And tell me one place in this society to whom we entrust our kids, that if the kid comes back and experiences any of these awful things, if the place goes like, that's not what happens to most kids here, it's like the most disingenuous and gaslighting of answers, right?
And why do they get away with that? And why? Real question is I haven't seen a lot of conservatives covering this. Why? Again, I don't think it's that you want children to be harmed. It's that these guys gave money to conservatives, so conservative outlets aren't covering it, and so we're not seeing it. But this is like a monumental case. This is something that everybody recognizes. Like, if you have teenage kids, raise your hand if you're concerned about your children's experience on social media. Actually, just if your kids have social media, will you just raise your hand if you're concerned? At least you worry about the experience your kids are going to have on a social media app like Facebook. I think that's going to be like 100%. And this is what's fucked up about what happens when you have billionaires involved in politics. They're able to kind of silence these stories Not because nobody cares. I think that across the political spectrum here, everybody's going to care about this. I would be shocked if anybody didn't care about this that has children. But it doesn't get out there if they're giving political donations to the right people. And if they are, like, even if it does get out there, now they're framing it as, it's not that we don't care over here at Meta. It's that it's not fair that it's only us. And then that's the narrative that goes out. And that's the narrative that you will hear politicians. You're going to have, inevitably, people who are on the payroll of Meta going out there and being like, look, I'm just as concerned as you are about kids, but we can't just single out Meta. And that's what Meta pays for. They pay for that type of defense.
Right? And so they keep demonstrating by each of their choices and actions that we cannot trust them with our kids, because a responsible entity would be, yeah, of course, we understand that there's addiction, and here's 10 things that we're doing to make it better.
And Arturo, is the reason, or what do you think the reason was that they answered, that they say, well, that's not really a problem, and that they did not, you say, respond to your, or that Mark didn't respond to your email that you said? I mean, is it because they see that the kids, they make money on having kids as customers, and anything that would put more restrictions around that is a revenue loss? Is it that simple?
It's that simple. I'm going to cut it there. All right. We're not going to get to Iran today. We're going to get it. I was just letting my YouTube autoplay, and a lot of this is from yesterday. So some of you may have seen this, but I was letting my YouTube autoplay on. One of the few channels I subscribe to is Forbes Breaking News, and I can just let it autoplay, and it'll play me clips from Senate hearings and congressional hearings. This is Sheldon Whitehouse, who we had earlier, reading in less than a minute everything from the released Kash Patel grand jury testimony, which was nothing. Here we have Senate Judiciary Committee holding a hearing for Trump's judicial nominees. And this is going to be conservatives. You should leave. You honestly, like, I'm fair warning here. You should bounce. I don't know how many of you are here. You should go. Because if you try to defend this, you're going to look dumb. And I know that most of you don't care about looking dumb, but if you do have like a concern about looking dumb, leave. This we'll be back on Monday at 9:30 Pacific time. Go find a different stream. Come back Monday. We can talk about other stuff at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. But for the rest of this live, you should leave. So what you're about to see here is that Donald Trump is only nominating people to office who suck his dick publicly and who are willing to completely debase themselves and make themselves look like simpleton dipshits in a cult, all because Donald Trump, the sociopathic, shits his pants, geriatric, 12 IQ dipshit that occupies the Oval Office, demands it. He is such an unabashed pussy that people have to lie about obvious things in hearings, and then the Republicans in those hearings have to pretend it's not the most pathetic, obvious cuckery they've ever seen. And that's what we're going to see for the rest of the day. We are just going to watch sheer stupidity and cuckery. And if you have any self-respect, I would leave, but you're welcome to stay.
Just to finish Senator Blumenthal's point, I hope you realize how ridiculous the four of you look. Spouting these preposterous, canned answers in a forum in which
And he said, have you already talked about the forced survey Trump put out that you have to pay a donation to file, and if you don't, you're auto and illegal? I don't know. I feel like he's done that before. But no, I haven't seen it. If it's recent, I don't think I saw it.
You're supposed to tell the truth, and B, you're supposed to demonstrate the judicial capacity to make independent, factual decisions in hard cases. If you can't even sit here and say that Joe Biden won that election or that the Capitol was attacked, what's left?
By the way, this is the introduction. I'm going to beat a dead horse the rest of the day. We're going to show multiple people questioning him in the exact same way. And we're going to make it just very obvious how pathetic this is.
What's left if a hard case comes your way as a judge, and let's say the Trump administration is bearing down on that? Why would we ever believe that you would give the litigants a fair hearing and a fair decision if the executive branch was leaning in on you when we can't get a reasonable answer out of any of you with the executive branch leaning in on you to give these ridiculous answers today? I'm really sorry to have to go through this and that you have to go through this, but it would be nice if you could tell your executive branch handlers, for instance, Ms. Clark, I'm supported by Lindsey Graham. He's a friend of President Trump. He's the second senior person on the Republican side in the Judiciary Committee. He's likely to be the next Judiciary Committee chair. I think I'll be okay. I don't need to make myself ridiculous at your direction. It'd be great if you could have said that. It would be great if your answers were simple and honest here today. It's really disappointing. Let me ask a different question, a legal question. A judge, you want to be judges. A judge gets a threat to the judge's life or to the judge's family. Can you imagine a scenario in which liability may attach to individuals beyond the utterer of that threat? Ms. Clark?
Senator,
the reason they're going to struggle with this is because multiple Republicans have issued what could easily be conceived as threats. They certainly, outside of direct threats, they have invited threats. They put up posters all over Washington with judges' faces on it that said "wanted." And so the reason the White House is asking this question is saying, as a judge, do you think that there can be any culpability for somebody inciting somebody else to target a judge? So if somebody directly threatens a judge, obviously that's a crime. Should there be any culpability for people who are putting up wanted posters? Now, I think the answer to that is obviously yes. I think obviously if you are a member of Congress and you are inciting people and without really any sort of explanation, you're putting up wanted posters with particular judges' names, and if you're consistently calling them radical, Marxist, activist judges, if you're saying that they themselves, because they rule against the Trump administration, are treasonous, I do think that that carries weight. And as a member of Congress, there should be some repercussions for that. But that's why he's asking this question. And the reason that they are going to be slow to answer, and the reason they're going to be so careful to answer, is because by saying anything even close to the word yes, they're implicating all of the Republicans that are staring them in the face. They're implicating Donald Trump, who nominated them.
prosecutor, there are instances where there's some responsibility.
Robert, I'm not mansplaining it. I'm maga-splaining it. And in this case, I think it's the right thing to do. Because mansplaining isn't men explaining things. I'm explaining it to dumb people like you, Robert, so that you can understand and you can participate in this conversation. Thanks for being here.
That is assigned to someone who is not the utterer of a threat to an individual. And so to answer your question, yes, I can imagine.
You agree?
Yes, Senator, and if confirmed to the bench, I would follow all Supreme Court precedent and Ninth Circuit precedent.
Mr. Rick,
by the way, this particular judge has no experience as a judge and no experience as a prosecutor. She's just been on teams. All of them are just pro-MAGA. Like, they go through all their social media and they're just pro-MAGA election deniers with basically no. Some of them have some experience. She has literally none.
Agree?
Yes, Senator, I would agree with that.
I don't know that I care what you think, Ms. Westerkamp, because you're going to international trade and you're probably not going to see much of this, but do you agree?
Yes, Senator.
Yeah, and those doctors...
Now, she's batshit. She is like far right MAGA. Like, there are people in front of her right now that she has called domestic terrorists, and they put her up for a judgeship.
that would provide the legal basis for investigation in those scenarios would include doctrines like, name one, Ms. Clark.
Senator, doctrines that are, if someone is essentially carrying out.
Let me skip the rest of that. I just want to get to that part. Now let's move on here. Here's Peter Welch talking to Kara Westerkamp, who is the one we were just talking about. She's nominated to be the judge of on international trade. And
For record.
She's more MAGA than some of the dipshits in here.
Before Senator Welch speaks,
Hey, goat, that's good, bud. I don't want to mute you, but that's good. You've got them all out now. You've said about 80,000 fucking things the Democrats did. No more of that, okay? The chat's not just for you. We may have to mute you if you're just going to keep spamming.
supporting Ms. Lane's nomination from 33 current and former state solicitors general and other members of their senior.
Yeah, who could have seen Trump nominating unqualified people? Oops.
The details, qualities, essential ability to effectively.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to follow up on Ms. Westerkamp on this conflict.
Reminder to the crowd: DOJ reports that 76% of political violence and murder comes from the right. That is true. And then they hid that; they removed it from their website. It wasn't working.
Of interest, question, and recusal. I mean, you worked, of course, in the White House, and you worked on the trade policies and the tariffs. Is that correct?
Senator, I worked on, as I disclosed in my Senate Judicial Questionnaire, various executive orders and proclamations.
You had nothing to do with the tariffs?
Oh, we don't open.
Senator, some of the executive orders, as I said, executive orders related to trade and tariffs.
Right. So, and that was obviously an enormous pillar of the Trump policy. Tariffs are really, really.
Now, that's such a conflict, right? She helps craft the orders, these orders that are going to be challenged in the courts, and then Trump nominates her to be a judge so that hopefully they can prolong these challenges in the courts long enough for her to be the judge. So now they have taken the person who wrote the order and they're moving her into a role as a judge. There is no scenario where this should be allowed. There's a direct conflict of interest here. A direct conflict of interest doesn't always say that somebody will rule incorrectly, but you shouldn't have a conflict of interest like this because then you can't trust the judgment of that judge. Judges recuse themselves all the time from these types of conflicts of interest. And so you would want to know, at least if they're going to put you in this position, you're going to recuse yourself, right? Like if one of these executive orders is challenged that you wrote, obviously you'd recuse yourself.
Import the administration, as you know. The court that you'll be serving on, should you be confirmed, found that those were unconstitutional, correct?
The CIT, with the three-judge panel, yes, held that it was unconstitutional.
Right, and the U.S. Supreme Court affirmed that decision and said the CIT decided correctly, correct?
That is correct, Senator.
All right, so just explain to me how there's any question about whether you should recuse yourself. You worked in the White House, where a major policy of the White House was the promotion of tariffs, and now you.
Christopher, no, not like Judge Boasberg and his daughter who worked for Comey. There's no direct conflict there. That's an invented conflict. Judge Boasberg's daughter, and was it Boasberg's daughter that worked for Comey? I thought. Sure, even if it is. Just because Trump fired Comey and Boasberg's daughter worked for Comey, there is no conflict of interest there because the case that Boasberg was overseeing wasn't about Comey. That's why there's no direct conflict of interest. This is way different. It's silly that you even made that accusation and tried to compare the two. She wrote the order. How in the world, are you comparing that? She writes the order, then she's the judge on whether or not the order is legal? That's crazy. Stop. If you're going to play whataboutism, get a better one than that.
Sitting on a court where they found those tariffs unconstitutional, and should there be further litigation about these tariffs, you cannot tell us today whether you would recuse yourself.
Trump, that's true. Trump USA 1 says RTP is full of doo-doo. That's true, because your dad paid me $80 to save up 3 days worth, and I'm going to unload that on him later.
In view of the fact that you were an advocate for the tariffs in one case, and now you'd be on a court that found those tariffs to be unconstitutional?
Thanks, Colin.
Again, Senator, I would take recusal very seriously. In terms of recusing for any matters, executive orders that I worked on, I believe the president had actually revoked those executive orders via another executive order after the Supreme Court's IEPA decision.
It's impossible for me to understand this.
Just say no. If one of these comes before you that you wrote, you will recuse yourself. This is what's so, but this is, and I'm telling you, when anybody, like, if anybody wants to say this is just politics as usual, this isn't normal. No president's ever done that. No president would even consider putting this person up. And if they did, they would say, of course, I'd recuse myself. This isn't what we used to do. Republicans, Democrats, we didn't do this. In the first Trump presidency, Jeff Sessions recused himself because he was kind of part of the Mueller investigation. Like, he was going to be investigated. There's no shot. You could literally, if Pam Bondi was directly being investigated by the DOJ, she would not recuse herself, and Trump wouldn't tell her to recuse herself, and Republicans would say it's fine. We have moved so far past normalcy in this country, and like even the semblance of fairness, democracy, law and order. It is just open fascism and corruption now. This is sick. To put a judge or somebody up as a nominee who will rule on the very executive orders that she wrote. That's crazy. This should never happen in this country. She should be voted down 100-0. Nobody should vote to confirm somebody with a conflict of interest like this, and yet she's going to be confirmed.
I mean, you worked for a client on a policy that has been determined to be unconstitutional.
Like, she'd prosecute herself. She would just say she is. She's like, no, I'm going to do a totally fair investigation into myself. And then like 3 weeks later, she'd be like, I've concluded after investigating myself, Pam Bondi, that I am completely exonerated and all of you can go fuck yourselves. And MAG would be like, they did an investigation. I believe her.
You had a right to do that. Obviously, the president made his decision. You were his advocate. But now you're on a court where that court and the Supreme Court has said those are unconstitutional, and there's going to be questions about refunding those tariffs. In fact, there are questions about that right now, and you can't just—
Darren said, keep up the good work. Thanks, Darren.
Make a clear expression to us about whether you would or would not recuse yourself when you were on both sides of the issue?
Senator, I think it would not be inappropriate to grade my own work, so to speak. And so, yes.
It would not be inappropriate to grade my own work. That's a real thing that she just said. In every scenario, that's right. I'm sorry, do students grade their own work? When you turn in your final test, do you grade it yourself? What do you mean? In every scenario, it is not appropriate to grade your own work. And that's how she's even looking at it too. Like, of course I did the right thing. Would you put out shitty work on purpose? That's an incredibly corrupt thing to say. Again, that statement alone should be 100-0 vote. This person will never recuse themselves when they should.
I would, for specific matters that I worked on in the White House, would recuse myself. And I would add that the refund litigation is actively before, I think it's Judge Eaton in the Court of International Trade. And so it would be inappropriate for me to comment on how
If it was before me, I'd judge it correctly. But since it's not before me, I can't comment on it.
That is proceeding.
He feels the same way we did. Like, what the fuck?
I want to ask you about a couple of tweets. George Papadopoulos, who tweeted out, there are but two parties now, traitors and patriots. And as you know, he's a former advisor to President Trump. And my understanding is you retweeted that out. Did you do that?
Senator, I don't have Twitter in front of me right now. I take you at your word that I had tweeted that. And as I stated previously, I think that retweeting from people that I don't know, including the gentleman you just mentioned, is an inappropriate way to express oneself.
Yes, they're going off tweets. Tweets are what people think. And if you have thoughts and you're up for a judgeship, your tweets should absolutely be part of the record.
On any controversial political or just matter.
Retweeting is an indication that you want to amplify what you read in the tweet, right? That's why people retweet. Correct?
Senator, I believe so.
Right. Well, who are the traitors and who are the patriots?
This in your file.
Chuck Grassley keeps forgetting to mute his. That's who you're hearing. Keeps forgetting to mute his mic.
Senator, again, I think that this, as a judicial nominee, it would be inappropriate for me to comment on the topic of controversial subject matter.
It'd be inappropriate for me as a judicial nominee to comment on my thoughts that I retweeted. Where the fuck are we, America? Where the fuck are we? I can't. It's inappropriate for me to tell you what I was thinking. Oh.
Matter, and I have apologized for.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm asking you, you'd retweeted something, all right? You made an active decision to amplify a tweet. You thought other people should see it. That tweet included patriots and traitors. So I'm asking you, when you retweeted that, who in your mind were the patriots and who in your mind were the traitors?
Senator, I don't have any context for that, and I have apologized for.
It was you. And how did you apologize if you don't have context? What are you? This is crazy.
Retweeting
context. You did this. You did it. You hit send. So who are the patriots and who are the traitors?
And Senator, I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, we don't answer questions over here. This is pathetic. It is one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen in a hearing. And she's going to get confirmed.
Unbelievable. On November 14th, you retweeted a post by an account @CamVTV. The tweet read in part, quote, "Big distinction between us and the party of hate."
You have the final statement.
Who is the party of hate?
Senator, again, I first of all, I'm out of time, but I also, as I said, don't agree with everything that has been retweeted in the past.
Do you agree with anything you did in the past?
You
have to figure that out.
Senator, as to your specific question, I don't have an answer for you.
I don't have an answer for the words I said.
My time is up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, end it there. It doesn't get better. Let's go now to oh shit, that was the last one I think I had, actually. We got 30 minutes left. Ooh, there's 2 videos here. Let's do. Yeah, we'll might as well keep it on the obvious corruption of this administration.
The insider trading.
Here's our guy, Voidzilla. We haven't seen Voidzilla for a while. There has been a void of Voidzilla. If you don't know who this is, he has a channel called CoffeeZilla where he's done a bunch of investigative journalism, specifically on crypto scams. He's brought down some of the biggest crypto scams our country has ever seen. And this is his second channel called Voidzilla. And he covers like outside of his normal stuff. And now he's talking about financial crimes, specifically political financial crimes. This is a person who has never been political his entire life. Not 1 ounce of his content has ever been political. And it has been interesting to watch him have to journey into the political space because Donald Trump is such a fucking criminal and the people around him are such fucking criminals. And all of a sudden, politics entered his world of crypto scams, insider trading, and like stock market scams. And so now he had to literally had to create a second channel to protect his first channel because people who are engaged in politics are such fucking psychopaths that one of the most renowned and respected investigative journalists in the game is now hated by a lot of people simply for doing what he's done his whole life that people loved. But now because Trump's name's associated with it, they hate him, so he had to do a second channel. But we talked about this the other day. The amount of insider trading that continuously happens under the Trump administration, where you see massive bets placed before Trump makes an announcement, is obvious to anybody who knows anything about the stock market and cryptocurrency, it is obvious that these are insider trading, that these are crimes, and it's also obvious that the federal government is just looking the other way. And it does get, like, as a content creator, it's frustrating because you can cover it, but you know that this corrupt criminal organization that's running our government won't do a fucking thing. You know the Republicans that voted for them are too fucking stupid to understand it, and if they do understand it, they just dismiss it, and they're like, oh, this is what the government does, even though this is never what happens. And it's going to be, the chat is just going to be Nancy Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, and they're just going to play whataboutism. But like this type of shit never happens. And I'm going to ask for anybody who brings up Nancy Pelosi, mods, have a heyday. We got 30 minutes. Demand that if they bring up Nancy Pelosi, they give us a specific example of insider trading from Nancy Pelosi, or they get 5 minutes muted at a time. So if you're going to say this is both sides, if you're going to bring up people who also did insider trading, please know that you are going to have to provide an example, or you get timeout for 5 minutes. But here's Voidzilla, and then we'll be done at the end of this.
Allegations are back. This time we're looking at $1.5 billion in insider trading. Or was it just luck? Did someone from this administration make a well-timed bet right before the president tweeted? Or was it just all a big coincidence? Is it more lucky trades? Now, this is a long-running story. We started with an $190 million insider trading question back when the president put tariffs on, and right before it, someone had shorted the crypto market, made millions of dollars. And once again, our question was, what did this person know? Was it just luck? And we're back to this question because with the increasing financialization of everything, increasingly geopolitical moments are more than just horrific questions of whether someone's going to get bombed or not. The new question is whether your portfolio is going to get nuked, or your position is going to get blown up, or somebody else is going to make a killing on you financially. And this is a question not only for the traditional markets. Obviously, we now have war trading on places like Polymarket. And I want to discuss it real quick before we get into the insider trading question. We're going to listen directly from the Polymarket CEO, Shane Copeland, because he kind of presents this as, oh, it's actually value we're providing to the Iranians. This is a value proposition because now people know whether they should, hide in their bomb shelter.
When I get hit up by people in the Middle East who are saying that, hey, we're looking at Polymarket to decide whether we sleep near the bomb shelter. Like, we look at it every day, and I'm like, oh, it's really that popular over there? Like, are you kidding me? Like, do you not even know what's going on? Like, everyone's relying on this.
Guys, is this
it's so gross? It's honestly gross. Like, people now, their political positions, like if you have a political opinion and you happen to be wrong, but you've invested money, like you've placed a bet on that political opinion, you won't change your political opinion. This is what I hate about these betting markets where you're allowed to bet on politics. It's just going to further entrench people. And that entrenchment is frustrating for people in your life, but what it allows already corrupt politicians to do is to take really unpopular positions, but incentivize people to take those unpopular positions with them, and then it allows them to then control that narrative and bring along people who either don't know or don't care, or they're just they put too much money on that position, so now they've convinced themselves that that's the right position. There's no scenario where betting on decisions by the president should be allowed, or by Congress.
Is it a good thing we're going to gambling apps and going, am I getting bombed today? Look, setting aside even the national security threat of people basically placing bets on insider information of who we're going to strike when to try to make a buck. Okay, setting that aside, isn't this just like really immoral that bets are being placed on whether we're going to strike?
I'm sorry, I missed two earlier. I didn't realize it. Damien, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. And Super for My Family said Trump's speeches are just slower talks that escaped.
A country, and then that country is retroactively trying to use that information to figure out, insider information on whether a colonel or a general or a lieutenant placed a $50,000 bet on Polymarket, move the market. Now we know something's going on. Like, I just want to pause and think about what kind of dystopian hellscape we've created where people are looking at a gambling company to see, are we actually going to get blown up today? Because this has been well reported on from... the Guardian, from Reuters.
I like Coffee's shirt, crime is legal. Like that's just sheer exasperation by this poor guy. like I said, he wasn't involved in politics. So for those of us who have covered it for a while, like we're kind of used to this, but poor CoffeeZilla, he's like, man, I was just out here covering financial crime and I thought everybody was against crime. And now that like politics are involved, like suddenly all these people are for crime. They're just like defending crime. He didn't really have this kind of pushback until he got involved covering the Trump administration. And then here comes the cult.
From people
boycott Nestle, said Steffelson. Well, fuck you, Nestle, whatever you did. Useless fact, but cause and effect is a thing. Popcorn sales have seen a significant increase. Now I know that.
Like the New York Times, that bettors are constantly cashing in on some of these war strikes, and some of them show signs of insider knowledge, meaning people are going to these platforms ostensibly with what looks like insider information, placing bets. And then I guess people are using those bets to kind of try to make actions on whether they're going to sleep next to bomb shelters. And we're going to go back to that. But I want to take a look now at this 1.5
Such a
billion.
bizarre part of this war. That, like the people who are in danger are like, we'll watch the betting markets because there's so much insider trading in America. America is so very corrupt. And this administration is so corrupt that ironically, like it might make Iran more safe. Because they can watch these massive moves of insider trading and be like, oh shit, here it comes, and they can get out of the way.
Dollar insider trade.
Nestle stolen billions of water from my state in Michigan. I didn't know anything about that.
For a second here, now that we've kind of covered that this is happening at a smaller scale on some of these prediction markets, because of course the biggest market of all is not crypto, it's not prediction markets, it's the capital markets. And we saw some big moves here pre-market because previously the position of our government, which of course is laid.
Dolphins, I sent you a video to your DMs. I know you forget fast because you know squirrel. So you wait till the end of your show. Hopefully you'll remember. I'll try.
Out on Truth Social is that if Iran did not fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, the U.S. was going to obliterate their various power plants. And of course, the reason we're trying to get the Strait of Hormuz open is because without it being open.
Sorry. Pat, bud, what's going on here? Jen wanted me, I guess Pat's upset. Pat, you still here? I don't have to grift off the president like RTP. Just pointing out the hypocrisy. I even wrote a song about the douchebag. You wrote a song about me, Pat? Believe what your delusion is. They think he's an asshole. Wow, there's a lot of feelings here, bud. You can DM me, buddy. I'm sorry you're having such big feelings. Sorry to stop that for a second. Jen wanted to show that. You got this, Pat.
And the price of oil is very high. So you can imagine that if this
is that the song, Jen? We'll play it at the end. Is that the song that you have?
Oh, it's not a song. It's that he thinks he's owning the libs by trying to clip creators' streams or whatever.
Oh, okay. I'll watch it later. We'll watch it at the end. Okay.
Is resolved diplomatically, the price of oil would go down. The stock market would rip, go up. And if it doesn't happen, the opposite occurs. Oil probably goes higher. Stock markets probably take a dip if it's not open. So the information of whether Iran is going to capitulate is very valuable. And this administration are the people who know it, right? And so when the president posts that he's pleased to report that the U.S. has...
Robert, I know you're new to my show, but I've been covering like insider trading forever. It's one of the things I cover probably the most. If you think for 1 second that I haven't covered it during the Biden administration, you're crazy. If you think that I don't know that Democrats and Republicans both do insider trading and that I'm against it, you're out of your fucking mind. I fully support stock trading bans. We've done full segments on that. I wish that the stock trading ban would go through, but unfortunately, both Democrats and Republicans block it. And ironically, this is one of those scenarios where I find myself agreeing with people like Matt Gaetz. Like the first bill that I remember of them trying to pass that was co-sponsored by AOC and Matt Gaetz. So I'm firmly for banning stock trading. We've covered, like I follow Unusual Wells. We've gone over, I forget that website where they show like the stock trades, and this is not a partisan issue. However, what Trump is doing in this administration, it does seem partisan.
Had very productive talks with Iran. That obviously sent the stock
It might have been
prices
Hawley. I
going
thought it was
up
Gates.
and the price of oil coming down, just like predicted. But people were quick to notice that there were some traders that seemed to get in early. This is the Financial Times graph, and you can see the Trump post right there. And before both of them, you can see a little spike in trading volume 15 minutes prior. 15 minutes prior, the Financial Times reportedly found that $580 million in oil trades shorting the oil market were placed.
And when they talk about shorting the oil market, they're essentially saying that like you can look at the prices going up or going down, and if you're shorting them and like prices are high, so let's say it's like 120 a barrel, and you want to short it, you're going to say, I'm going to place a bet on these markets that the oil price is going to go to $100 a barrel. And if it hits $100 a barrel, essentially you win your trade. So these people are trading. What he's saying is they're trading on this insider information because Trump keeps making announcements like the Strait of Hormuz. Like they lied about that. They said the Strait of Hormuz was open and a ship went through, and you saw oil prices come back down. Or they'll say like, oh, it looks like this war is coming to an end. Or oh, it looks like Iran is willing to negotiate. And so when they make these announcements, that's why they're timing these. And it's weird that they're, weirdly enough, all of these, and CoffeeZilla has covered a lot of these, they all happen like 15 minutes prior every time, which should tell you like this has to be somebody close within the administration, because they're drafting these and then they put them out. They have the discussion, they draft the tweet, and then they put them out. And the fact that it's 15 minutes almost every single time is what is raising a lot of alarms. But even if you go back and you look at those trades, that's a massive trade. $585 billion short on oil, which is a very reactive market right now, is scary because it could go the other way very easily. Like one other action, like a tweet could come out and just be like, oh, Iran says they're keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed for another month, and then it would just skyrocket. So that's a risky trade to put $585 million unless you really know that you're going to get a return on that investment.
Specifically,
Kushner's a good guess.
$1.5 billion worth of S&P 500 futures.
Correct, Johnny. Johnny said to short, you borrow shares at said price to sell it back at a lower price, and you pocket the difference. Correct.
Were bought. Again, this is only minutes before, about 15 minutes before, Trump announced that there are peace talks with Iran, which potentially could settle this whole thing. And obviously the question is, was this all a coincidence? I mean, look, I think pretty clearly it's not. I have to hedge, of course, and say that we don't know who exactly.
Right, Rip. So like, let's say it was at 120, right? So you borrow, you're basically saying, I'm going to buy it at 120. And if it's a longer position short, like you may have to pay premiums every day that it doesn't hit that. It's like an insurance contract. So you're saying, I'm making this agreement to buy it at 120. If it goes up, then you have to pay that price. So if it goes up to 140, then when your contract's up, you pay 140 instead of 120. But if it goes down, you're basically, right, you're going to pocket that money because you have this contract at 120. However many shares you bought, you're going to pocket that extra $20 per share.
Place these trades. This is something that the SEC, CFTC would have to investigate, which, is obviously unlikely given that we just had the enforcement division director resign. We just had...
No, not buy low to sell high. It's actually buying high to get a return low. When you're shorting something, you're saying that the price is up here and you think that it's going to drop. It's actually the opposite of that.
The CFTC, they're busy, diving into regulated betting with Polymarket and the MLB. So it seems like they have different priorities on their hands. I don't know if they're going to investigate it. Someone should, obviously. But at this moment, we don't know who placed a bet. We don't know if they were related to the Trump administration. It was someone inside. Maybe it was just someone from the Iranian side. We have no idea. Again, though, the problem is that we've had a history of these stories coming out. But there are also just more direct links that are concerning. You have this lucky investment by the president's son, who invested in a rare earth startup at a $200 million valuation, according to Joe Weisenthal. And then 3 months later, the U.S. government announced a huge loan backstop for the company.
That company had been in business for something like 6 months. I mean, this is such obvious cronyism. And if Hunter Biden would have done any of this, he'd be in jail. The problem with Hunter Biden is it was almost impossible to prove that what he did involved members of the government. In this case, this is literally the government giving Trump Jr.'s company money after Trump Jr. Joins the board, and they are far from the most qualified, and these are no-bid contracts and loans that they're giving.
Specifically, the Commerce Department got an equity stake in the company, which obviously sends the price of it skyrocketing. The
W socialism, by the way, for the Trump administration. We're taking equity stakes in private companies. Love that.
valuation goes way up. Now it's a critical part of the American portfolio. And this, of course, makes a ton of money for 1789 Capital. So when we look at these events in their totality, it's very concerning, and it obviously screams, you know, people are benefiting from insider information. That's what it suggests to, you know, I think anyone paying attention. The idea that this is just happenstance or just some smart trader in all of the cases is unlikely. Maybe one case, you know, maybe two cases. But how many times does it have to happen? Do people have to front run the president's posts by only a few minutes with very well-placed, very well-timed bets before we start to think maybe this is, you know, somebody benefiting from some insider information? And I want to be clear, that isn't just necessarily, you know, Barron Trump sitting on his phone. I think that's what people imagine when they hear insider trading. You have to understand, this stuff is usually much more sophisticated than that. It can be someone calling a hedge fund friend they know and say, hey, I've got some intel.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, it's there are ways to short oil. I had to look this up the other day, like depending on your platform. But if you're going to do like actual short positions of this size, it's got to be somebody who, one, knows what they're doing, or two, has a connection. If you remember, like in the Big Short, when they wanted the guys from like Brownfield Capital, it's like those two younger guys that had their own fund. When they wanted to buy these positions, when they wanted to buy the double B and tranches, they had to call in Brad Pitt's character because they didn't have. I think it's called what is it? RISD? Is that what it's called? What's the license called? The RISD? RISD's Rhode Island School of, what is it? Is that what it's called? Does anybody remember what now? I don't remember what that license is. Anyways, they needed somebody with that license. They didn't have that license. And then when they wanted to sell it, they had to call Brad Pitt. He was in Europe and he wound up selling it for him. If anybody knows the name of that license, that's bothering me that I'm blanking on that.
Well, here's what it is. And that person then goes and places a bet and makes a ton of money. And then they, you know, pay a kickback under the table to the person with the inside information. So I want to be clear that even if this is insider trading, it is very possible that it's someone, you know, outside, some hedge fund placing these huge bets, because these are giant bets that are being placed. But what does seem obvious is that increasingly our geopolitics is tied to like
it wasn't a Series 7. I can't remember what it was.
Markets. And specifically, the markets are now seeking to find insider ways into taking advantage of what's going on, even if that's as cynical as placing bets on strikes, peace deals.
ISDA, that's what it is. ISDA. That's what we're looking for. Thank you.
Ceasefires. And this is where I want to talk about a recent investigation by Bubble Maps, because they went.
We're doing the reason we have to show you a recent investigation by Bubble Maps is because the Department of Justice won't do this, and all of the I guess branches of the Department of Justice that would normally look into this have essentially been shut down, because under this administration, as CoffeeZilla's shirt says, crime is legal. We don't investigate this type of crime. You'll notice not a lot of insider trading has been caught. Not a lot of fraud. In fact, the biggest stories that we hear with fraud under this administration are the amount of people that commit fraud that Donald Trump gets millions of dollars from and then pardons. Who is that family? Is it the Chrisleys that he pardoned? Did you know that Papa Chrisley is speaking at CPAC? That's pretty cool.
Looked at several Polymarket accounts. Once again, this is back to the prediction markets, about one of the traders on there who is linked to several accounts. And I actually got the chance to talk to Nick, the person who did the investigation about.
No, Robert, I'm not ignoring the Taiwan chip deal. We've talked about that. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. This isn't like insider trading is not a partisan thing. I'm just talking about, like, this is different. In order for you right now, Robert, to be making comparison that makes sense here, you would have to be connecting like Obama to this. You would have to say like Obama under his administration refused to prosecute these types of crimes. Biden refused to prosecute these types of crimes. So I see what you're saying. I agree with you that Taiwan chip deal, there was insider trading on that. But what you're doing is you're ignoring that Republicans also made money on that as well. You're simply saying Democrats. So ironically, the thing you're accusing me of, you're doing in your comments.
What it means, here was our conversation.
So hello, Coffee. My name is Nick. I'm the CEO of BubbleMap, which is an on-chain analytics company.
So you guys just analyzed a series of Polymarket accounts, which seem to be related to each other financially. And can you just tell us about the kinds of bets you saw them making related to wars, their accuracy, and just some of the timing things? Obviously, it's very hard to prove definitively, who this is without having the internal
documents. This is the last part. I know I've lost a lot of you. This is the last part, and then we'll be done.
But just tell us some of the red flags you guys saw.
Yeah, for sure. So to give you some context, recently somebody got arrested in Israel for insider trading, and it was on Polymarket. And in the article, which was not fully disclosed, there was a lot of secrecy around this news. We learned that somebody that was in the military personnel of Israel was using this privileged information to do insider trading, and he got arrested. And so that's
not a good sign when like Israel's less corrupt than us. Israel will stop this, but not the United States. That's not good. You don't want to be more corrupt than Israel.
Inspired us to look into this in more depth. Like, was this an isolated incident, or is there more of this insiders who are benefiting from privileged military information? And so we looked into more of this Polymarket war bets and war markets, and we found that in fact, no, there was plenty more insiders or potential insiders. I'm going to be very careful with the wording. As you said, we're never sure, but more of these very suspected or suspicious trades that were happening on these markets. And on this particular post that we shared today, it was 7 accounts on Polymarket that were, for the most part, betting on US and Israeli military operations with a 93% success rate.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Just got lucky. They just got lucky.
Decent.
And let's be clear, they weren't betting on events that were already like 90% going to happen. Some of their bets were on actually very unlikely events, right? At the time, the mainstream consensus was that these were
those returns are fucking insane. These are events, right? 464% return, 356, 352, 306, 437. If you look here, the way that this works on Polymarket, this is the entry price here. So this is per share. Now, this goes to $1. So if you are betting on this at 17.7 cents per share, that means that Polymarket is saying there's a 17.7% chance that this happens. That's basically how this works. So when you look at these are all massive long shot bets. The highest percentage we're seeing here is what, 24%, 27%. That's why these returns are so massive here. So the majority of the betting market is betting against where they're at. And these are $19,000 bets all the way down to $2,000, $3,000. You can see like the higher the bet, you don't have as much of a wait time. They bet it on May 26th. It happened June 11th. Those are long shot odds. It's somebody who was a professional gambler before. Like these are, if you were a professional gambler and you were betting on stuff with these types of odds, you're going to be a loser almost all the time, unless somehow you have insider information.
Likely events, like 80% not going to happen, they would bet the yes, or 80% going to happen, they would bet the no, right? Isn't that what y'all found?
Yeah, for the most part, at least for the trades that made the most money, of course, it was mostly trading at like 20 cents, meaning that the consensus was 80% not going to happen, and they traded against it. So not only the amounts were suspicious in the sense that it was very unlikely events, but also the timing. So as you said, the timing.
Why am I on the bottom left of the screen? I moved because CoffeeZilla had, I was taking up his spot. I'll move back. I got you, Twitch chat.
Of these bets occurred I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the resolution of the event, which was the strikes from the US and from Israel in Iran. And we've seen this network of accounts that were betting, dating all the way from 2024 to 2026. So it's been 2 years of successful trades. And then the part that is
and
insane.
here you go, Robert. Here's a bone for you, Robert. If it was from 2024 to 2026, then this is somebody who's obviously getting insider information, and it happened during the Biden administration too. Here you go, Robert. See, not selective outrage. You're welcome.
Is the fact that they are connected on chain. Without getting into too much.
Are you asking, is DJT on the board of that company? They're looking at Polymarket. I think maybe one of his kids is on the board, but this wouldn't have anything to do with the board because they're not manipulating the board. It's not that Polymarket's not at fault here. Polymarket puts the bet out here. What they're saying is that somebody knows the military actions that Israel and the United States are going to take, and they're betting on those actions. So in this case, it wouldn't be like, we wouldn't really be looking at who's on the board to find the corruption there. What we would want to find is like, all right, who knows about this? Obviously, it's the executive branch, obviously, Secretary of State, and then, anybody that's read into this in intelligence, probably the Secretary of Defense or anybody in the Department of Defense that's high up there. Or it could be somebody there is giving information to their friends. That should be surprising. Like we already know shit leaks all the time. And this is what's showing us like what the problem we have here with leaks is, and now people making money off leaks. One of the, like the NBA had a betting scandal not that long ago with Tim Donaghy, and they've got one going on right now with like Chauncey Billups, and I can't remember the player's name who was like legitimately cheating. But the way they always try and get away with it is they don't place the bets themselves. They call a friend, and then the friend's like, yeah, I'll place these bets for you. And then they get a cut of that. And eventually it gets too big. Somebody gets too greedy. And that's when the eyes are on it. So the reality is as long as these platforms have been around, this has probably been happening. But now these bets are getting so excessive. And then the bets that we saw on the oil markets, people are very aware. Whoever's making these bets is very aware that nothing is going to happen to them. They know they're breaking the law. This is all against the law. But to put yourself out there, and you saw when we showed the trading, like that trade is an anomaly. And they can track who that trade is. Now, we can't, but somebody like the government can figure out who made that trade. So that means people are willing to put up $500 million, and they're not worried at all that the government, that the Department of Justice, the FBI, that the SEC is going to look into them. Because these are brazen trades. And that's where we say, like, this is different. Because people have always done insider trading, but you used to try and cover it up. Not anymore. We're just openly doing it.
Much specificities. They were sharing MXC deposits. They were sharing Bybit deposits. They were wiring
they call it a rat hole. Well done, Papa Baggins. It's a rat hole.
To the same deposit address, sharing funding address was very obvious.
Yeah, yes, Hannibal. Sacramento Kings should have beat the Lakers. Fuck Tim Donaghy.
Pattern of clustered Polymarket accounts.
What do you think this means for the future of these prediction markets? I mean, obviously, there's a claim that this is not allowed. Insider trading is not allowed. Polymarket's going to go after them. Kalshi, they're going to shut it down. One thing that occurs to me is it's actually very hard, even if you know the identity of the person, to prove that it's insider trading. Because, for example, yes, if they are like a lieutenant colonel in the American armed forces, yes, you can go, okay, that's obvious insider trading, right? But let's say it's the like step cousin or something who just got the intel from somebody and they insider traded it. Are you going to know? Like, even if you're Polymarket, how can you say for sure that's insider trading? It seems
you can't. And that's why the federal government should be doing something, and they're not going to do anything. There's like 5 more minutes left of this. You guys can watch that. Highly recommend it.
To me, just the fact that
highly recommend subscribing to Voidzilla there. But I am out of time. And that is my last day of the week. I know I said I was going to try and stay longer today, but I cannot. I have... I got some shit going on in my life. And so I just want to tell you guys again yesterday, I'm sorry I missed you. Sometimes shit happens in my life. And what I want to say is I appreciate being able to do a job where at least the core audience understands that there are more important things in life than making money, getting clicks. And I appreciate you guys always being so thoughtful and kind and sending me messages on the days when I can't make it. So I appreciate that. And then, of course, appreciate Jen for picking up the slack 20 minutes before the show is supposed to start and letting everybody know and taking all the heat when I take the day off. Because when shit like that happens, I just turn off my phone. So Jen takes all the heat for that. So thanks, Jen. But to everybody else, I hope you have an unbelievable weekend. I hope it is very happy. I hope it's sunny. I hope you smoke all the best things. Jen, did I miss anything? Is there anything I need to cover?
I'm double checking, see if there any more stuff came through. Nope, everything's good on mine.
Okay, awesome. I will see you guys Monday morning, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. to noon, or 1 Pacific Standard Time right here, wherever you're watching TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch. I can't believe the amount of times I talked about the nuclear vests that we didn't get banned from TikTok, but here we are. We made it another day on TikTok. So I'll see you guys Monday morning. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Say nice things about yourselves. Drink water. Be nice to each other. Stay cute and cool. And have a great summer.